Co. From 7 to 9, come kick with the show. It's a new era. Let's get it, let's go. From 7 to 9, it's Tingle and Co. What up, Lord? What up, Lord? You can call me him. I'm Shay Dixon in the whip with them RPMs. Gotta pull up to the chat, yeah, shit out to them. Not trying to ball like Big Four, then get out the gym. Monday through Friday from 7 to 9. When you see that notification, we about to go live. Hit this track and do your dance like you Karen Lacey.
Welcome in, everyone. Good morning. Good morning and welcome into Tingle & Co., a special Friday edition here. It's looking a little different today. We want to wish our guy Noah back.
It's a safe flight because, good
flight.
God, we don't know what happens on planes anymore. But, yes, Andre
Yes,
filling in
exactly.
until Noah gets back. He was going to miss all of regional play. His dad stole his Wi-Fi on the plane.
Again?
So he'll be, I'm assuming he's flying blind. So
Oh, man.
that
Yeah.
would be something that you have to shell out $8.
Everyone send a quick prayer up to
Or send a
to
Venmo
Noah.
to Noah so he can watch the game.
Exactly. A Venmo will suffice as well. But we're also here with Jonathan today.
Yeah, my cousin filling in. We brought in the big guns. My
Yes.
cousin Jonathan. You've seen him on the live streams. He is here in case we needed a little bit of backup because Noah's more than just one man.
Yes.
So we brought in everybody that we could.
But
to
it's gonna
fill
be-
you in for regional baseball
Right.
talk.
It's going to be fun today, guys. Like, we have a lot to talk about. And it's the first day of the postseason for college baseball.
You
so
don't
we've-
feel something deep down in your plums
we-
today. You
exactly.
don't have a pulse.
Exactly. If you don't feel anything, you're not an actual LSU baseball fan or just a baseball
Or
fan
alive.
at all. Yeah, exactly. So we've got a lot to get into. We're going to start with the headlines, though. Obviously, it is game day. LSU baseball will kick off the postseason today as they face Little Rock at 2 p.m. Central on the SEC Network. The starting pitchers for the Tigers is still to be determined. And Little Rock has announced their starter. They are going to start right-handed pitcher Jackson Wells. Wells is 3-6 on the year with a 5.24 ERA in 79 innings of work. He gave up 84 hits but struck out 90, which is actually pretty legit, and he only walked 32. Now, this is the same guy that actually had a lower ERA than Paul Skeens in 2023.
Bold of the coach to bring that up. But
Very
also,
bold.
if you want to give your guy a little pump of confidence, like don't
For
forget.
sure. No, this guy has stuff, though.
Yeah.
Like, we can't hate too hard because I kind of thought, like, going into this, it was going to be a cakewalk. But then
You dig into it.
the more and more that we talked about it, I kind of thought this may not be as easy as you think. But it's a right-handed pitcher. It's not a left-handed, ace. So that's the good news for the Tigers. But also, TV times for the first 3 weeks of the college football season have been announced. LSU at Clemson. Week 1 will be at 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC primetime. We have Louisiana Tech at LSU in Week 2. That will be at 6:30 as well. And that one will not be on national television. It will be on SEC Network Plus. And then Florida. This was the big one. Florida at LSU will kick off at 6:30 p.m. Central on ABC. So DJ Lagway's first game in Tiger Stadium will be at night. So good luck. I wouldn't want to be you in that circumstance at all. But we're going to talk a little more about that later today. There it is right there. And by the way, shout out to them, to the ABC, and for claiming those night games because nobody wants to sit in Tiger Stadium in the midst of the summer heat still.
Well, that's what I'm interested to see. We'll get into this a little bit more. I'm
Yes.
interested to see how this, after the ruling or what the LSU
yeah.
or Louisiana is trying to mandate, no night games. I mean, no more day games for LSU football after the UCLA debacle.
in
where
September, right? Like
Right.
it's a September rule still?
Arizona has it instilled in their laws that you can't play day games for college football in September. So Louisiana government tried to follow suit and tried to enact a law. We will see, but obviously Florida, if LSU is worth itself in any regard, you would expect to play Florida at night.
Yes.
So, but this is, and you'll see, but this is a good sign so far. Instead of a 2:30 kick,
Oh,
Florida,
my gosh.
you get a 6:30 at night. DJ Lagway, get your lick back if you're LSU, who kind
they-
of stole a game from you.
They want payback for sure.
Of course.
That one,
This is
I
one
would
that
say,
you have
hurt.
marked down as a W if you're trying to get where you want to go.
I think that one hurt them more than A&M did, as far as to their pride, especially to a rival like that. But moving on, SEC, Greg Sankey, he's not doing the fining $150,000 first offense and then going up anymore. They're going to change their rules, and now whenever SEC teams rush the field, it's going to be a $500,000 fine for every single incident, and so that he's not playing around anymore, Lloyd. Bad boy cop right
That
here.
is not going to – no, I don't think there's any student in the history of ever that has once thought, oh, God, I'm going to have to send a check to LSU for rushing the field. If it happens, it happens.
Exactly.
That's the check that LSU's going to have to stroke.
Not their $500,000.
Exactly. It's not, but it is.
They pay tuition.
Right.
I'm sure that
it's my money. I can do whatever I want with it.
I'm sure they found a little bit of money within their tuition for that $500K. I'm sure.
That's a lot. I'm sure if you've had if you've ever spent any time around LSU football and what happens before, that's not the thing that they're thinking about in the fourth quarter.
No, they don't care. But the
Happy
thing
to be
is,
there.
field rushes have gotten to the point where why are we doing it every week? That's another thing. I don't know. I might sound like old man yells at cloud right now, but
Yeah.
No, the field rush is it's a special moment. You can't
Right.
You beat the number 12 team in the country, so we're going to storm the field. It's
supposed to be sacred, and
It
LSU is in a place in which you would think that this doesn't happen often because there's a world where LSU never did it.
right, you're a blue blood.
Right, so you
You're
shouldn't
not
have to rush.
quote unquote supposed to. I say in the certain instances, wherever like the game ends, like the 2-point conversion ending, the Kyron Lacey touchdown, that was acceptable in my opinion.
Yeah,
now the Ole Miss rush in 22 was just ridiculous. That
Right.
should have never happened.
That's what it was off the rails. You'd lost control. You'd lost control of the program.
Yeah, I mean, I think they were just nervous.
No, it was just it felt like thank God you got to win and it's
Against
like,
a top team, right?
Right.
In BK's first year, I guess.
can I give you guys a hot take on this one?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think everyone that rushes the field should be jailed.
For
Yeah,
how long?
I
As long as you're on
Tonight?
the
24
field.
hours.
How are you going to corral them?
It's
Oh,
not,
you know
it's
what
not my problem.
You know what you do?
It's not my problem, but
You block the gates.
you block the gates and you
You
turn off
make
the
them
lights in the
stay, and
stadium.
you make them do
make
field,
everyone stay.
field maintenance.
You make them do field maintenance.
and clean the stadium.
and you get all their names on the list. and
But
they
when
all
you're
got-
done, you're
You all
done.
got to call your mom
Yeah, and
if you want to get out.
you don't have to say what you
That's-
did. You just have to
that's
call your mother.
No, you got to tell her what you did.
Oh,
I went on the field.
Man.
no, not jail. You just have to clean the
It's Tiger
stadium.
jail.
Clean the stadium.
Tiger jail.
Oh, that's almost worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but when
Send
it's all
me to jail
when
at
it's
that
all
point.
clean, you can go home.
You can go home.
I
After you
say
call
just
your
send
mom.
me to jail at
No,
that point.
that's not. You're in jail. This is your jail.
No, if you refuse to clean,
You'll go to jail
then they take you to actual jail.
for a year.
Or you do a year.
A year?
You do
A year.
This is field rushing we're talking
Until
about.
the next time they rush the field again.
Then
That's how
you get
long
out.
you're in jail,
Yeah.
and then these other people come in
That's
that rush
smart.
the field.
I
So
think
you
it's-
could be in jail for years.
That's a common sense rule.
It is.
I think it's a good thing that none
It's
of
a
us
common sense
are in
state.
charge of any.
I don't hate.
Law
I don't hate
enforcement.
this. Where we
I
got,
don't
I
know
don't
about you, but I'm
hate.
running for state senator. So
Yeah, little do you know.
there's,
I am.
there's a good chance I have a tremendous amount of power this
Okay,
time
well.
next year.
Omar the Tiger. You thought
excuse
that
me.
was the,
Yo,
that
that's
was the worst
nothing.
of it.
I'm going to release 11 tigers on the field.
All
If
Baby
you guys,
cubs.
If you guys
Survival
rush,
of the fittest.
just because we beat,
Baby cats, I mean.
Mississippi State.
Well, if we
Bring a
win that
bulldog.
ball. Yeah.
No, 11 tigers.
all
Sick ones, hungry ones.
Oh yeah, maimed.
Turn off the lights, lock all the doors.
Oh, no, that's.
And if you live, you live.
I mean, it would literally just be the Roman Coliseum at that point. But
Hey,
Not
do you want it to happen again or not?
the revolution will not be
no,
televised.
honestly, so maybe it has to happen for
Or you could,
for
yeah.
Omar not to come back.
Tiger
But-
purge.
Tiger Purge. You just cleanse the soul of the
Yeah,
Tigers and the fan
You
base.
thought you were
Mhm.
excited when you rushed the field.
Right.
Tiger time.
What
Tiger
game
time.
do you run the Tigers out?
You let them go. They're there.
They're just there.
And
in
whenever
case
if you
somebody
storm
does
the
something
field, it's the
stupid.
threat of it.
Oh,
They may not
it's
exist.
like
Yeah.
okay, so it's like a dog.
Right,
Basically,
you
like
just have the threat of if you rush the field. We have 11 Tigers. we'll
Instead of
let-
halftime.
Are these zookeepers there
just
with like
cut-
a leash on them?
No,
No?
They're in cages.
well,
Or they on like chains or something?
no, they're well kept.
Okay.
But they are
They don't
ill.
want PETA. They're hungry.
They just happen to get sick before that game.
And
every
LSU
game.
baseball plays today,
Right.
so
So maybe test
Maybe-
drive.
And maybe
test
maybe
drive.
it's, maybe
Test
it's not
trial.
a bad time to test it. If we storm the field after
rally
beating Little
toss
Rock,
him.
Arkansas,
Whoever gets tossed
we
gets the
toss Mike
Tiger.
Arkansas.
Arkansas Little Rock. Here we come.
Anyway, sorry, I just had to get a hot take.
No, that
I-
I mean that was good. We're getting the creative minds juicing already. So
Call me Greg Sankey.
basically,
Let's fucking talk, dude.
That's good. Yeah, you can't get a deal done.
Right. I'm
I'll,
here, man.
I'll raise your Big Ten
I got some ideas for you. All right.
relegation.
all right. Well, we're gonna the New Orleans Saints quarterbacks. update at OTA. Spencer Rattler and Tyler Shuck split first-team reps yesterday at OTA. Is just something worth mentioning. Rattler did impress according to all the New Orleans media members, but Shuck also had some flashes with 2 long touchdown throws, one to Bub Means and one to Donovan Peoples-Jones. And one thing is, if he's throwing touchdowns to Bub Means and Donovan Peoples-Jones, what is he going to do with actual receivers?
Well, those are your actual receivers.
Well, unfortunately,
it's not a talented young football.
Yeah.
I mean, let's put some respect on Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed.
That's what I'm saying. Like, sure, you've seen sparks from Rashid Shaheed, who hasn't played a full year, and Olave also hasn't finished a year in the last 3 years.
Didn't they bring old man Brandon Cooks back?
Yes, only 32, which is shocking.
That is shocking.
Because he's played.
No, it feels like he's 40.
I know.
Yeah.
But Brandon Cooks, where it starts, sometimes it's where it ends. Come on home.
I guess it'll be a good
He and Sean Payton did not
storybook
get
ending
along.
for him.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
But you'll see Cooks. He'll play.
You think so? I don't think he'll play much.
I think everybody's going to play. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's going to be
It's going to be that bad?
It's going to be.
Well,
it's
you
gonna
didn't
be
get
pretty bad.
LSU was not the spot to give people money at that time when they signed Cooks, and so then
That's
you
true.
signed him with the intention of playing him, and you need him,
They were down atrocious.
right? And they're like, Brandon Cooks, you can still run. It's like the Ted Ginn, except he was. I'd say Ted Ginn's arguably had a better career somehow, but that's what they did with Ginn. Like Ginn played for 15 years because he still ran a 4.3. Brandon Cooks can still cook.
He could still run
you
with
something.
the boys. Yeah, he can still run with the guys. But it's time for the 2 claps today. We have a few pretty good ones today, actually. Lloyd, do you have the tweet of Jay Johnson paying for the entire student section tickets this weekend?
And this is. He wasn't able to do this last year because there was no
regional.
There was no regional at home. 2023, he did this and earned a lot of his stripes as an LSU for the LSU fan base, certainly the students, and I think that has carried a lot of weight over into didn't see it coming, especially for a regional play when you're trying to I saw a bunch of A&M fans that were saying A&M would raise the ticket prices, and Jay Johnson did this in 2023. So if you got a good thing going, why not run it back? And it only wins you favors. And
the student section is going to be rowdy after this.
Well, it's free.
I mean, you just hope the weather is okay enough for people, or as at least students, to show up, and I think they're going to show up no matter what.
People are going to show up in droves.
Where's the forecast for today?
I'm about to look it up, but here's the tweet from.
Let's see. Here it is from
a Woj bomb.
Yeah, it's a Woj bomb, but to the Outlook emails.
Because this was the way it was
The
announced.
most boring type of bomb.
Yeah,
there is the Outlook.
But what's interesting is if you get a email from anything LSU and you're a student, you're not excited about it.
No,
you're might not look at it, and then
I never looked. I was just
I would just assumed I was.
You've been asked
out.
to leave, exactly.
Right,
yeah.
and then you get this where it's
I'm OCD.
actually paying for your tickets. There's going to be some kids that don't know.
Yeah, that would.
You had free tickets. They go, I didn't check my email.
That would have been me.
Right, and then you have to find out by word of mouth. But tickets cannot be passed down, passed around, screenshotted, anything like that. But you have one. You don't have to worry about it. If you're a student at LSU, you have a way into the game that is free.
Yeah.
So there is no excuse, none, zilch, zero, nada.
No, you better
to
show
not
up.
go to right field and pack that thing out.
Show up and drink.
Yeah.
Do your job.
You've had a rally already by the students against Tennessee when they literally tried
Rally
to commit
toss 'em.
manslaughter. And the rally tossed them. They threw a baseball back at the right fielder. And so you have
Threw the wrong guy
now
out.
there was no way to pick, but now you have the ability to do that again if you'd like, because it's free. Now treat the ticket with respect, as you always should.
Right,
but,
and I think it's a full weekend thing, so these guys don't have to pay for a single ticket for the entire weekend.
Tell Uncle Jay thank you.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Look at how much he cares
Exactly.
about you.
Hey, when he did this in 2023, do you think he earned his tiger stripes?
He earned his stripes. And come see Paul Skeen's pitch. Well, that was part of it.
Oh boy.
It's because
I'm sorry guys, I'm a cut up.
you're a riot.
I like to have fun.
He was trying to all of the conjecture around the Paul Skeen starting at Tulane, but to whether that kind of distracts you and look over here. Same predicament he's in right now. It's at least we have some positivity coming out and something good you can say. It's he gave the students free tickets, and then it immediately comes back to who's going to throw on Friday, which we'll have that conversation.
We're
going to
have that conversation again, and we're going to have a few more conversations about baseball. We've got a lot to get through with baseball today, but
if there's anything to 2 claps about,
right, it is Jay Johnson.
2 claps ready.
Next up, we have some of the LSU players at their practice yesterday, their mandatory practice, NCAA regional practice. Let's see those caps. I want to see what the comments think about this.
I'm gonna put this on the poll if people like them or not.
Yes.
I don't expect these to be gamers at any point.
No, I think these are just for show.
It's like BP hats, right?
Yeah,
Those
they're
are BP
official.
hats.
They're kind of cool.
I like them. They pop,
fun.
you know.
There's 2 schools of thought here.
What are we doing here?
If you never see them in game. Like, I don't think there's a world in which LSU plays in a gold hat.
No,
But
I don't think so.
You run the
either.
risk of looking like a fried egg.
Right, and it's just,
It's
but,
not traditional. It's just it looks funky.
And for LSU baseball, and I would say for LSU football, but you also saw gold jerseys for the first time in, I don't know, 20
Right.
years,
Also,
30
like
years.
fried eggs. Okay.
Exactly,
The
or
white
bananas.
hats.
But
Well-
that was for a reason. You did that against, there was a history there that Vanderbilt didn't let you wear your white jerseys at home for the first time. That was a get back against the former coach.
Yeah, that was.
And so it was like, okay, fine, we'll wear gold. And then LSU brought it back again for Vanderbilt. This has no,
Oh, so I didn't know that.
yeah, this has no merit
Just a
other than
little-
to practice in.
That's
A little
petty, bro.
resentment,
Yeah,
from the Jerry
absolutely.
DiNardo era.
That's
Petty.
what it was. It was Donardo.
That's funny.
But yeah,
What do y'all think about these?
I will say
I feel like I would rock this.
that's what I say.
at a game
People
or
would buy
something.
them,
Yeah, seems fun.
but it
I'd
would
rock
be
that.
received differently if worn in a game.
I mean,
there
would you
be-
guys wear this?
I think there'd be a
I don't
meltdown
wear
for them
hats,
again.
but if I saw one in public, I wouldn't.
Would you be like, oh, that's
awful.
cool?
I'd be like, oh, I've never seen this.
It's
hat
different.
before.
Yeah.
It's definitely different.
So if somebody had one, I'd be like, oh, where'd they get that? But
right.
I don't really do
think
yellow.
it-
It's not my
LSU
color
is
palette,
yeah.
you know? I'm a
LSU is
natural fall.
well. You have also a fan base that wants to wear the Nike Pegasus shoes. So if you put anything LSU on anything, they'll buy it.
They're gonna buy it,
and
even
wear
if it's
it.
uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if they're god awful ugly, but these hats aren't bad looking.
So are they too clap worthy? Is my question.
No, pass on the 2 claps, but.
Okay, well,
We might give 2 claps to John Eads for taking the picture and starting the conversation.
there you
We'll be
go.
on at 8
Two
o'clock.
claps,
2 claps,
for
John Eads.
John Eads. College Football Hall of Fame does get 2 claps today, though. They lowered their requirements for coaches to be eligible for the Hall of Fame. They lowered the win percentage requirement from 60% to 59.5%, which will allow Mike Leach and Les Miles to be eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame in 2027. So that's a huge dub for Mike Leach for sure.
I think that was part of it. We can talk about this more later because I do think there's real conversation about Les being able to backdoor his way in this because I think they set it up.
No, he's able to now.
And
I
that's
think
what I'm saying. I think they did this for Leach and they didn't look around.
they didn't realize
like
the monster. Not
Who
the
else?
well, kind of
Did
a-
we just
yeah,
let into
there's-
the party?
Yeah, who else
they
can
didn't
sneak
realize.
in?
They didn't realize what they just did.
Yeah, you gave wristbands to a lot of people, and so just because, but he is now eligible, and he was trying to sue LSU to be able to get his wins back
into it, so that's gone now.
And so now he could. I mean, I guess I'll walk in if you're gonna let me in. So we'll
Did
see.
they give any explanation for why they? So it
They
really is
didn't,
just
but you
a
can
God
probably.
bless Mike Leach kind of thing.
That's
like,
what
I think
thought
that's
it was.
what it
And
will
then
be.
of course LSU's like Les Miles, and I think they're like, oh God,
What
like,
did we
who
do?
else, Who else has 59.5%?
Who else has 59.789?
Jerry Sandusky.
But that was really cool how they did that. I would say for at
2
least
claps for Leach.
for Leach.
yeah. I didn't get my hands up in time, but
Let's
do it.
Yes.
It's okay. LSU Shreveport defeated Hope International of California, so they won the NAIA National Championship last year to improve to 58-0 on the year.
Unbelievable.
That is a record, by the way, I think, in NAIA and just in baseball in general. That is the highest winning streak of all time.
They passed Howard Junior College for the all-time college baseball winning streak, going 58-0. Mission's not done.
at any
No,
level.
Mission is not done.
Wow.
They have to play today for championship game against Southeastern, who they already 10-run ruled earlier this week. So let's knock on wood.
Yeah, that would be an all. I mean, that would be.
We're talking about GOAT stat. Like, this might be the best
Well, this
NAI. I mean, for sure NAI.
Best season.
Hey, but what happens theoretically? There's some JUCO bandits out there. What happens theoretically if you put like a LSU Shreveport against like a mid-major?
I don't know how good they are. I haven't seen them play, but 58-0 is 58-0. They also run the risk of becoming the Golden State Warriors that broke the regular season wins record and then got beat by
beat
Cleveland
in the
and after
last
they were
game.
up
No,
3-1.
God forbid that
Like
happens.
I'm saying, you're 58. No, this thing's not done yet.
No, it's not done yet.
That's my prediction, actually, is that the
Yeah, no, but
Cavs, the Cavs beat
Yeah.
them in the NAIA final. The
Oh
Cleveland
yeah,
Cavaliers.
LeBron James terrible at softball, but
No, the current roster.
they're good now.
I know.
Yeah.
That's why I think they have a real chance.
We'll
In
see.
softball? We're still talking about
You're doing
softball.
slow pitch.
Let's-
It's a tournament. But
I don't know who
58
would
0,
win, but-
hoping for 59 and 0. LSU Shreveport 2 claps. Let's do
Oh.
one clap for LSU Shreveport.
Man.
Job's not done.
Job's not
Yeah.
done. Just
So,
one?
One clap. Ready?
Right. Okay. Half of two.
Yeah,
claps.
we'll clap on Monday if I wake
We'll
up
do-
and see 59 and 0.
We'll do a few claps.
Yeah.
For them. The NCAA new trailer for the video game dropped, and that was pretty incredible. I don't know if you want to show them, but
No, I can't. I'll get flagged.
Yeah, okay. It has me hyped though for
LSU
college
was in
football
it.
season. Yes, and Brian Kelly's in the game. I'm interested to see how they
Ozempic Brian Kelly.
Coordinators in the
face
game,
scan
too,
them.
right?
Coordinators in the game. It's going to be
That's
a
fucking-
fun game. It just
yeah.
gets me hyped for football season.
Yeah.
If it does anything. So 2 claps for the new NCAA. Ready? Oh.
Wow.
You got to
Oh,
do the cadence right.
I'm
If
sorry,
you're gonna
guys.
run an offense.
I'm the newbie here.
That's right.
All right. Postseason baseball is here. So 2 claps for that.
Yes.
2 claps ready? That's pretty much it, what we have for 2 claps. But let's get into the baseball. I want to first ask the chat, how are y'all watching the game tonight? Is there any sort of way special that y'all usually watch the game? Are y'all going to it? Are y'all kicking back at the crib and watching? How are you guys watching tonight? Are you going?
I'm going.
You're going,
Yeah,
Lloyd?
it's a 2:00 game right after this show, and I get the pod
You're
up.
getting ready, man.
I'm going to tailgate. Yeah, we got the bus coming in for
Uh-oh.
Mikey and the boys. Come out, find the tailgate if you can. I don't know where it is. I've not even been sent the location yet, but we're gonna go out there, tailgate, get ready because you can't celebrate this more. It's not only a celebration for
It's just a reason to get.
LSU baseball. It's college baseball everywhere, but for LSU, the fan base, this is what you play for. This is what you show up
Yeah.
for, and it's almost like a opening day, like to be where like it
Facts.
feels a little bit
There's
different.
so much excitement.
Yeah, and this, I woke up nervous. Like this is where you get to that point of like this shit matters.
And that's how fans should.
Yes, you should
wake up
as
thinking
much as
they should
LSU
be
fans
nervous.
already care
Right.
about regular season games
Especially
and
baseball.
SEC tournament games that you're not at. This is a little bit different, and I understand the tension. Certainly, it starts, and even against Arkansas Little Rock, Hunt Palmer put up a great piece about how just not easy it is to even win a regional. Like
Right.
there's been scares throughout.
And you're hosting your 28th? Yeah, you're hosting your 28th regional. That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean that's your birthright. It feels like
Right.
at LSU, like that's the brand you built. That's where you come to LSU for, and that's where the conjecture about Jay Johnson didn't play in the SEC tournament to win. No, he's playing to host a regional, host a super regional, and go to Omaha and win there too. That SEC championship means nothing to anyone. Nobody looks back in the annals of history and goes, "Oh, at least we won the SEC championship or the SEC tournament in Hoover." Like, if anything, that's a ding on what happened in the postseason after that. Because if you won the SEC tournament, you probably should have won the national championship, or at least have
That
gotten
year,
there.
right.
And if you didn't, then it's like, oh, at least we had.
2017.
It's the Ole Miss hanging a banner for SEC West co-champs in 2003. Like that doesn't mean anything.
It's like, don't even put that up.
Yeah,
We were talking about it on the way over. It's the years that we won the championship. Do you have any real recollection? You know, I have a terrible memory, but I don't really remember what we did in the SEC tournament or what our regular season record was.
That's exactly
I just
it.
remember that we fucking got it done.
But I know what
And
years
the
they won a
tournament.
national championship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you're playing for. But because
It
I
starts-
say all of
it
that to
starts here,
say
though, yeah.
you set yourself up for this.
Yeah,
And
I mean-
I expect it to be, I mean, let's check the weather, but I don't think that should matter. But however,
It's
This is what
something
you
worth
live for.
noting. It's definitely something worth
this is
noting.
the start of your season all over again. This is
Right.
why you played the regular season. You can go through the dog days of it all. But then you get to this point and it's a fresh restart. The players feel better. You feel better. And it just has fucking stakes. And that's all you play for it to fucking matter.
So we had Andrew Messina said he'll be at his desk watching it. Nice. Brian Burgess said he's going to try and go, but if not, he's going to watch at home. Good to hear.
What do you mean try?
There's no try.
There is no try.
There's due. Carl Dunn, nice to see
He'll
you.
be there.
He'll also be there.
Yeah,
He has
Carl
been
will
to
be there.
all 28 regionals.
Wow.
I just said that. That's pretty awesome. That's awesome. But It is definitely. Are we ready to get into the matchups as far as?
I think it's time.
I think it is time. So LSU faces Little Rock today. We did mention Jackson Wells is going to throw today. So we mentioned his stats. He had a lower ERA than Skeens in 23, and that's what his coach was preaching. The guy is very decent. Lloyd, I mean, I was going to ask you first, but do you think this LSU offense could struggle with Jackson Wells today? I mean, he has the stuff.
Struggle. I mean, there's an easy,
or maybe slow start.
Yeah. Well, I think that's part of it. I think there's a world in which people live in. You saw the last 2 games LSU played without 15 innings without scoring a run.
Yeah.
Like people live there, and I would say that second game that they played in the tournament, once your coach starts both your starters the game before, you're sending me a message that this game doesn't matter. Now we can say and rah get ready, like I want to see, win one for the gift for all the things we want to win the tournament. No, we don't. You just proved to me that we're trying to get ready for something else. That something else is this. And now that you have the ability to throw either Kate Anderson or Anthony Ianson, which is still, we won't know until 1 o'clock.
And we're going to talk about that just in a second, because there are many SEC teams that are pitching around.
Right.
And it's definitely something that Jay Johnson has to think about, in my opinion. I think
for the LSU offense, I would say you would like to see, because when LSU starts off and scores, that's usually when you see the offense. It kind of is a trickle-down effect whenever they score in the first inning. You see that it's like, oh, we can do this. And it kind of, and then you'll see like a crooked number either in the first or third, and that's when they get rolling. But if it becomes a second inning, no runs, third inning, no runs, fourth inning, no runs, and you're looking around going, thank God we threw Anderson or Ianson. Like, that's not where you want to be, but that's that's why you do this in a regional, is to give yourself that kind of leeway of, you don't want to throw somebody out there that's never really been in the spot. But if the offense gets rolling, I think everybody takes a collective sigh of relief in Alec Box, like everybody watching, because that is the one thing that I think fans are most watching, is to see, can you score against even Arkansas Little Rock? If they can't, then it'll be a huge talking point, even though it's just one game. But you're also running out of just one games.
Well, I think the keys for them is to start fast. It's incredibly, I would say it's incredibly more important for them to start faster in this game than any of them, just because of you set the tone not only for the entire regional, but your pitching, right? You want to give your pitching some confidence going into the game. Obviously, you're going to have an ace out there, so you feel good about what you have, but you don't want them to have to go and play hero down a few runs trying to do too much if you do get down. So,
I'll just think, like, everything that you want, that you need, or like would like to see from the box can just flip on you. Like, whatever becomes a nervous energy in that building, and it kind of turns on LSU at some points, where they're going, what the hell? Instead of, like, if you score 1 run, 2 runs, and then, like, the box is at full throat, Arkansas Little Rock's like, this is awesome, and they're like, this is just cool to be here. As opposed
and that's
to, like,
how they're going to be.
Don't give them an inch of hope.
No,
like,
because they're 24-32.
Right.
They already have the hope that they need. They're here.
And so let them enjoy the box.
They're going to say, get out there and just take your cuts.
Exactly, and this is
go have fun.
Have fun, and all it's going to take is
I just
get a
want
little
to see
slow start, and them to get a couple,
and then they're in it. If you're hanging around in the third,
it's baseball, and things can just get weird from there.
They can spiral, and we saw that in the A&M series on day 3 of the series.
And I think that's why you do.
It happens like this.
Yeah, and that's why you do throw your ace, because I think that takes a lot of the pressure off of the offense.
That's
because it's going to be
that
paramount.
paramount.
Believe, okay, this guy's going to come out here, going to give 1 or 2. Pressure's off us. Feel the energy in the stadium.
Score 4 in the first 4.
Start taking.
Yeah, I had old coaches that would say, and Jay will tell you the same thing. What great baseball teams do is they score in each inning, and it doesn't matter how many, but scoring a run each inning, that will win you a ball game.
LSU,
8 or 9 runs a game. That
if you can score 9 runs a game, you shouldn't lose.
Exactly, that will certainly win you a game. So what you really want to see in this game, I would say the keys for LSU is get out to a hot start. Get into Arkansas Little Rock's pitch count early, starting Jackson Wells, and play error-free baseball. And they've done that for the most part all year. So I think LSU has to do that. And also they've had a problem this year of straining base runners. Today they have to limit that. And I think they will to a certain degree. I think you have to push as many runs as you can today, especially because you don't know what you're going to get out of Jackson Wells. He could go and shove it down your throat.
I mean, you saw it against Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Like, they started a freshman, and it's happened to LSU a couple of times where they put somebody out there unproven. Like Texas, the game 3, they threw a freshman. And he hasn't pitched in that situation, and you had Chase Shores. Like, looking at it like holistically, you would think LSU has the advantage, and he goes out there and spins the gym, and LSU can't get a hit to save, like to even give Chase Shores a chance to save a game in the series. But when you look at LSU, when they score in the first inning, these are the stats provided by LSUsports.net. These are not just me. Mm-hmm. LSU is 20-2 when they score a run in the first inning. Like that's
pretty good. And I think they only have 2 losses on the year in games that they have scored 5 or more runs.
When they have scored
5 or more runs?
Yes, hold on. I just had that. Whenever they have scored,
it's definitely a record that year.
If they score over 6, I think they've only lost 2 games.
Okay, there
and
you go.
Anything between 3 and 5 also still have a winning record. Like between 6 and 9 runs, they're 10-1. Over 10, obviously 24-0. Between 3 and 5 runs, they're 6-8. So you're looking at that 6 mark.
And definitely, you win the game if you probably get.
If you get
4.
5,
I think if you get 4 today, you're fine.
Yeah,
but
you just want it. That's why I brought up the scored in the first inning. 20-2 is like that's a stat that I think probably coaches look at and go, Creel leading off.
We got to get out of this first.
Yeah, if you're on the opposing team, but if you're LSU, like let's get 1 run across.
Right, like and I don't even care how they do it this week. If Jay has to play a little small ball, do it.
I think that's what people don't understand. That's why you see it happen as often as it does.
Yes.
Whenever you get
you see a Braswell that lays a bunt down, he's phenomenally good at it.
Dickinson.
Right, or Dickinson at the.
If Creel gets on base, I know it's just the first, and it's his first time in a regional, but that alleviates a lot of things for LSU's offense if he's able to kind of get back to form of taking pitches, drawing walks, battling, and then inevitably seeing like the 7th or 8th pitch, and then he takes it for a walk, and now he's on first, and it feels like you've seen everything the starter has to throw.
Exactly. What he did against A&M in that first inning. That's you really need to reciprocate an inning like that, where you see a lot of pitches from the starter, and then you touch them, right? Like you're able to see him well. You get some good hits off of him, and then you carry that into each inning. And I think they're going to do that. But a lot of the comments are discussing the Jake Brown in right field or starting Pearson. So that kind of poses my next question is, with Jackson Wells being a righty, do you see Jake Brown starting not only today, but Rhode Island is throwing their ace today, which is a lefty, Tristan Levisk. So LSU probably won't see many lefties. If they do, it will be out of the pen this weekend. Does Jake Brown start in right field today? And I would say yes.
Yes.
I think there's no question about it. I think he's got – I think he has to start hot, though, in his first at-bat. He's got to set the tone, especially for that middle of the lineup, wherever he'll be, either at 4 or 5, especially for those guys like Braswell. If you're going to see Luis Hernandez or Kate Arambidi, those 2 guys are going to be.
You'll see Luis Hernandez for the first game for sure. So. Like that's not even. I don't think that's a question.
And that's a guy who really we haven't talked about much, but I feel like he's a guy that if he gets hot, this LSU team's going to go home all.
Yeah, I don't know if he's performed. I don't think he's been laying yap, and that's I think because of what he did. At Purdue Fort Wayne?
No, he was at Indiana
State.
Yeah.
Like what he did there when he hit over like 20 home runs and what you saw the power numbers, but that was all at DH. Putting him behind the plate, that takes away a lot of your offense. But he's been able to catch a phenomenal game, and that's really what he's there to do.
And he's got the ability to hit.
No, that's what I'm saying. If he does,
you see it in spots. It's spotty. And
he'll go 0 for 4 and then 2 for 4 with 2 doubles, 3 for 4 with 2 doubles and a homer, and then he'll go 0 for 4 the next day. But if you get a game where he plays well, LSU usually wins.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking about there's a lot of spotty hitters on this team to where if they do get hot, it's going to be in the postseason. Like Stephen Milam, what happened last season. Josh Pearson, what happened in 23. I think somebody has to do that for this LSU team. I don't know who it's going to be. I think it could be Luis Hernandez. I think it could be, Chris Stanfield. He's been great all year, but I think he could get really hot in the postseason. But next up, we have the pitching. Obviously, we can. I have something down here where it shows all of the SEC teams that are saving their aces for game 2. But they're in a little bit of a different, I would say, place than LSU's at, I would say, because some of these teams are either pitching, their ace for the 1 seed the next game, or if they're saving them for a 4. So starting off, Ole Miss is throwing their Saturday starter, Riley Maddox, against Murray State. Now, Murray State, this is very interesting because that's a team that gave Ole Miss trouble earlier this season. They had to beat them in 10 innings. And so they're going to save their lefty Hunter Elliott for Georgia Tech possibly. And then Arkansas is throwing a reliever, Aiden Jimenez, against North Dakota State in game 1. Oklahoma is pitching the other Witherspoon brother instead of Kyson in a game where in a game 1 against Nebraska, to where they're going to try and save him for UNC, which could be really cool to watch. Mississippi State is also pitching one of their top relief arms in Ben Davis to save their ace for a possible matchup against Jamie Arnold, that great lefty for Florida State. So, I mean, there's definitely
you have to.
This is like, I know it's easy to say Cade is going to throw, but it's a real conversation that we can still have here. There are benefits to throwing Ianson today, and say Jay Johnson likes a matchup against DBU where they can't see lefties well.
And I think
that's the only way that you would see him mess
that
with
would
it.
be the only
right?
that would be the answer to the question. Right. I think that's valid. So if you see Ianson trot out there as the starter, it's because they have, and I don't think that they have like the small sample size. I don't think that's what they're relying on. The Connor Ware performance against DBU in February or whenever.
Right, you're not
going
to turn to Connor Ware.
No, I'm saying you're not using all that information of they don't see lefties well from the 4 innings that you saw from Connor Ware.
No, they're seeing it just from a statistical point at that point.
And I think that's, if you want to go ahead and give Jay his flowers, if this works out, that he saw that all the way ahead to, you could say,
to go and
game
do that,
1 of
right.
Hoover, to give you the option to do that. He not only wanted to throw Ianson to get him work, but also left you the possibility of being able to start him to throw on a Friday. Yeah. And when you look at the pitch count between Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson,
his is a lot lower.
Yeah. And
so he's more fresh for today.
So I wouldn't be it's not color me shocked if Ianson trots out there.
Yeah.
Like, I really wouldn't be surprised, and then it sets you up for DBU, and then it's essentially, I mean, I don't want to be the one to say it out loud, but LSU is in the very comfortable position of having 2 aces. But if you want to call it pitching off, you would be if you put Anthony Ianson, because Cade Anderson slotted as the 3rd overall pick.
So I mean, for sure, and that's what I'm saying.
They're both very good.
It's a great thing that they have the ability to do that.
Right, so
because they're both rested, and like this, it's one thing if Cade Anderson's pitching on a Saturday as far to a Sunday game, right? If you save both of those guys, but you don't want to do that. There's a difference between pitching on 1 day short of rest and 2 days. You definitely don't want to play with your food there. But I think. I think if you go any guy here, they're going to both do just as fine. But I think there's a discussion. It's like it's a matchup thing. Whatever Jay wants to do, he's going to do.
He's given himself options, which God forbid. Like, if he didn't just throw Cade Anderson and then Ianson would have had, if he would have won and then thrown Ianson, now you're looking at a predicament that you have to throw Cade. Now, I know it's Arkansas Little Rock, but they're like, I don't know who they're going to throw.
Like Jackson Wells is good enough
to
go deep in the game, and that's – if he does shut this LSU lineup down, that's when you're like, well, it's a good thing we either pitched so-and-so or
like people
whoever.
Have made the Skeens comp that he threw him against Tulane. You didn't have another Skeens on the roster.
Right.
Now you don't have a Skeens on this roster. Cade Anderson, an ace.
Yeah, you had two quality starters. It's just it's different. It's different.
Like, if they did the same thing last year with the 2 guys that you had, Luke Holman and Gage Jump, and they picked one or the other, there would be no conjecture. It would be It would be which one do you want. This year it feels like people are so up on Cade Anderson, and then Anthony Ianson came on late. It still feels like Cade Anderson has that's your ace.
Yeah, the edge at least.
And so if you want to look at it that way, you would like, why aren't they pitching off? If they throw Ianson, that would be considered pitching off.
Because it feels like,
but it's not. It's not his fault. He has 2 aces.
No, it just feels like you have 2 wins.
Right.
Like, that's why you feel so good about a super, is because you're like, oh yeah, we have Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson. Good luck.
Like,
it's going to be harder to win a regional than a super at this point, just because of that. because you have to use other arms in a game 3 or 4.
Yeah,
that
you could put yourself in a spot to where you're playing
Right.
on a Monday, and it always leaves that like up for interpretation.
Right.
But I would say super is always hard to the talented, more talented teams.
Well, I would say so, but for this
once you
year, they're
just to
set
get
up
out-
way more better.
But yeah, like when you look around, like the matchup that you did in the pitching situation, like Ole Miss is throwing Saturday starter Riley Maddox. If that was a headline for LSU throws Anthony Ianson, I don't think people would be like, oh, they're throwing.
I think it's a little
they're pitching
different.
off. That's because
Yeah.
they're both so good.
Exactly.
So it's
for Ole
pitching
Miss,
off, but
it's
it's
just
not.
it's just like, okay, we're holding this guy, banking on the fact that he's going to do well, and that's what a lot of SEC teams are doing with their guys. And look,
Because they're not in the position LSU is.
exactly, but everyone's going to say it's genius if it works, it's stupid if it doesn't. I'm always a firm believer is throw your best guy on the first game. You don't want to get stuck in
And you could,
sand pit right away where you have to fight your way out and win 4 straight games.
yeah, I think if Ianson goes, then it is we like Cade as a lefty versus the probable matchup like versus DBU. And I have full faith in the ability of Anthony Ianson just as much as I do in Cade Anderson to go get a win. Like there's not that. It's hard to say there's a drop off
There really
at
isn't.
this point in the year.
It's just it's simply going to be matchup based.
Yeah.
At this point, it's going to be, and you're going to see that with the bullpen too. When Jay goes to a guy like Cowan or
Case and
say
Evans.
Case and Evans, it's going to be which one struggles with more velo, which one struggles with, which team struggles with more velo, which team struggles with, the breaking ball or just struggling hitting. Period.
Well,
So-
that's the world that if LSU is able to score and you get down to a comfortable lead, you throw Ianson as long as he can
Uh-huh.
go. And if it gets to the 7th and you're up 8-0, you'll see somebody different out of the pen, probably. Like you're going to see.
Oh, for sure. You're going to see a Grant Fontenot. You're going to see you might even see
DJ Primo.
DJ Primo
some of
finish
the
things
some of the
out.
other guys that aren't necessarily who you're
You might
relying
even see
upon.
Devin Sheeran in his first appearance of the
Maybe.
weekend.
He's still
now very
throwing.
unlikely, but
He's still
Maverick Rizzi, you could see him.
Oh yeah, it would be like the rest of the bunch. Like there's
Right.
been a core group that has separated themselves with Zach Cowan, Case and Evans, and now you can put Chase Shores obviously is
Right.
in that mix. You can put I think Jacob Myers is probably
Jacob
earned
Myers is
that
going to be a
spot,
guy
and
where if it's
Newt-
close tonight, I think he's going to be the one to close it. I don't think they're going to use Evans. And I'm saying close, but maybe like a
I don't think you would put
a
I don't think
2-run game or 3-run game.
no no because just because of his history and what he not throwing strikes. I know he's been great the last.
You have to close out.
Yeah, you can't. There's no reason if you're in a close game against Arkansas Little Rock, you go,
Yeah.
let's experiment. You
Well-
bring in Zach Cowan, and you go, shut the fucking door.
Yeah, well, everyone was complaining about how Cowan and Evans weren't used in the SEC tournament. But the thing is, it allows them to not only rest after what they went through the entire season of being like relied on so much. Everybody was like, all right, well, we're going to see you maybe once or twice a weekend, and your pitch count's going to be high, and they both were. And so not only them resting is going to help them, but I'm sure they were able to fix a few mechanics, things that they might not have been doing so well with.
Well, they both needed rest.
They needed rest, but
Cowan and Evans have pitched more than any of your.
yeah.
Like they've pitched in nearly like they've had multiple appearances in
Yes.
the year. Or
and you could see they weren't 100.
no, you saw
when they were on
Cowan
the mound.
at the end of the year where he was like you could see it was wearing on him.
Right.
Like he needed
And
rest.
Evans, he's a freshman. The
Right.
kid was
in a role he's never been in.
right. He was puffing 96 for 3-4 innings, and I mean,
And-
obviously he's going to get hit when he's losing V-load, across the game, and he's getting behind in the counts.
And for like if they didn't get work in the game and you make this a like if you want to do the same conversation like if it was so important to get people work in a game, that's a starting pitching thing. It's not a relief pitching thing. Like relievers,
Right.
they throw on the mound all of the
Well, yeah,
they
and-
throw side work all the time.
And that's the thing with resting those guys, you're going to be able to use them multiple times this weekend,
Right.
Which you really love about just the fact that they didn't throw in Hoover. So another thing I was going to ask you, Lloyd, if there is a possible game 4 that LSU has to go to, who do you think could start? I mean, obviously we know that Newt is capable of starting, a game 3, but we really haven't talked about a possibility of LSU having, if they get beat, God forbid, in a game with, say, a DBU the first time in that
That's where you
winner's
see
bracket, right?
Connor Ware.
You think Connor Ware?
Well,
I would
it
say
depends.
William Schmidt. I think William Schmidt gives you that 3 innings of good work, and then you just bullpen it.
I would be surprised just because like if you got to have it Schmidt, then you're in a tough spot.
Right.
Like
It's either on or off.
Right. Like I expect that to happen in like an Omaha scenario or
Yeah.
a regional. Like the regional is when you play the most games. Omaha is when you play the most games.
I feel like the same thing happened with Ware, though. It's either on or off. Like there's no in between, which is a little scary.
You want to put somebody out there that gives you a chance to win, that throws strikes.
Right.
Like you'll find strikes somewhere because the real way that you lose or get upset is putting people on base for free,
Yep.
and you're giving them offense, and all they need is one hit as opposed to making them get hits and single you to death or hit with runners in scoring position.
Mm-hmm.
If you put on 2 on with nobody out and they haven't swung, you're playing from behind already because you're playing with fire.
Exactly.
At some
You're behind
point,
the
you're
8 ball.
going to get burned, and that's why I'm hesitant to put in a Schmidt to start a game just because it can go sideways so quickly. But if you have to have it, I would be just as fine with Schmidt rocking out there and go have a gym. Like you need one. But I don't think LSU will get in that spot.
It feels like the Eugene regional where you had no clue who was going to start in 22, I believe, or was it 21? I think it was 21 actually. Sorry, where Jabin Coleman started that game 4 for you, or game 3, and you didn't know who was going to start, and he goes and shoves. You need a guy that's going to emerge here. And I would say, who do you think that guy is going to be? You think it's going to be Connor Ware? I mean, there's a lot of arms that have to step up. As far as you need your 8 guys, maybe 9. I think we have a list here that could do it. I mean, Cooper Williams is a name that many people, or Jay has talked about. He's got that 3 or 4 pitch mix. He said that he's going to be a starter at LSU one day, so maybe it's now or never. I feel like a guy we really haven't talked about much is Connor Bench. We haven't seen him in a while. Maybe he's been able to work on a little bit of his control, because when his stuff's on, it's hard to hit. That elevated fastball is really spot on, and it messes with hitters' eyes.
It depends on how much work you get from, like, if you get
everyone
to
else.
Yeah, if you get to a game 4 scenario.
Say a game 4.
Then you would look back to, I think you would turn around and look back to Case and Evans Cowan and look at their pitch count, see what they did, and try to start one of them, and give me through the first, give me through the second, somebody that you know can throw strikes. And that's when you have to turn it over. Like, you would have to have a legitimate, like, Johnny Holstaff, like you're pitching to matchups, and because you're not going to go back and throw. I don't think you have
a Cowan for a game.
No, I think you could give me 2 innings, but I don't think you turn around and throw Ianson or Anderson.
No, they're not going to do that.
Right, so you have to start looking at who'd you use in relief if Ianson goes and throws 7 innings, and you don't have to use.
Which would be best case scenario.
What Skeens did was best case scenario: throw a complete game and
you
save everybody. Like
bullpen.
that's where your brain should be. It doesn't have to be a complete game, but 7 innings, quality start.
Right.
Like 6 at the least.
And Ty Floyd, he did the same thing on that Saturday game against Oregon State. I think he gave you probably 5 or 6 where you didn't have to use many people.
Yeah, then you had the rain delay. And then
rain delay,
and Thatcher Hurd came in and pitched unbelievable.
Phenomenal. And you need a guy like that.
Yeah, because
And LSU didn't know who it was going to be either.
Dad, you'll get in that spot. That's what happens at tournament
That's
baseball.
what I'm saying. They need an arm that's going to
Emerge.
act as that Thatcher Hurd, or act as that Nate Ackenhausen. And we've already seen Shores, and we've already talked about Shores and Myers. They're going to be able to do it, I think. They're playing their best baseball right now, but they have to have more. I think, especially lefties. Quality lefties are everything in college baseball. And so Cooper Williams and Primo. We haven't even seen really much Primo lately.
And he was the guy that Jay went to early and often throughout the year.
Yeah, and for matchups, right?
Right.
But what worries me about Primo is he doesn't have the longevity right now. He doesn't have many outings that he's gone more than 2 innings. Right. And that's what worries
you'll be if you're in a spot in a game on a Monday game, give me 2 innings.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Go give me 2 or 3.
Like, that's where you'll be. But hopefully LSU is not in that spot, and I think it's all contingent. If you even have to get there, it's what happens today. Obviously, if you get touched up early, I don't think that he'll go to the pen early. Like, even if it's Cade Anderson that somehow gets hit or Ianson gets hit, yeah, you'll see him try to go out there unless it's absolutely, like, it looks like I have to go get him.
It's like getting serious.
Right,
And they're
like you've
actually
given
touching,
up 4,
yeah,
and the bases that you got first and second, you're down 4, and people
Right.
are on, and it's the 4th. Like I have to go get him, and then that's a world where it's like you might have to go back out there on Monday. You saw him do
Exactly.
it with. It was a different scenario, but in the regional with Gage Jump, he pitched and then he brought him back in relief.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Jay does because, I mean, you obviously, we've seen him for the past 3 years. We kind of know when he has a guy, he's going to go to him, and he's going to go to him a lot. So it's going to be interesting to see what
Trust
he
is
does
huge.
with Cowan and Evans and Shores and Myers
And all-
this weekend. But you certainly want to give other guys a chance to go and throw, especially if you're up.
Yeah, I don't know how much you'll give other guys a chance that you haven't seen just to go throw. I think it'll be contingent.
If it's a blowout win, is
Yeah,
pretty
like
much what I'm
8-0.
referring to, especially like a tonight. If you're up 8-0, 8-1, go give me 3 outs, right? Like just somebody that needs it, that you think could be an asset for you down the line.
You have to be up by more than 4. I would say
Yeah.
up to 6 to see somebody
to
you
start
have it.
testing something, right?
Yeah.
I think 5 is the number for me.
Yeah,
4 is where it's like, okay.
and they'll have a quick hook.
Exactly. But there's obviously a possible DBU rematch from earlier this season. Now earlier this year, LSU won that game 7-3 in Dallas. Connor Ware started the game and he retired the first 12 batters he faced before allowing a leadoff homer in the 5th to the DBU catcher Grant Jay. He's one of the best hitters in the country. LSU certainly going to have to game plan for him. Ware threw 60 pitches in 4 innings with no walks and 6 strikeouts. So a really good outing for him, but you want him to get back to that. And then LSU right-hander Zach Cowan, this is the first time Tiger fans really saw what Cowan was capable of. He relieved Ware in the 5th inning, earning the win as he limited the Patriots to 2 runs and only 1 earned.
I mean, that was so long ago. Whenever
It was.
I know. No, I'm gonna say like the Connor Ware talk was. Oh, this is what they
Yeah.
were talking about. Like he's
Got the stuff though. That's the thing. At least he has the capability to go show.
like that's when Cowan was a nice surprise. Like
Right.
look
Yeah.
at the guy, the starter from Wofford comes in, pitches well. It wasn't Zach Cowan all
Yeah.
SEC.
And DBU starting pitcher Ryan Borberg was charged with the loss as he allowed 1 run on 4 hits in 4 innings. He had a lot of pitches though. I think he had 70 pitches in 4 innings and only 3 strikeouts. So that was something good to see. And if LSU gets to a game, to tomorrow's game where they have to face DBU, that's who they're most likely going to see is Ryan Borberg. And he's a right-hander. I believe all of DBU's starters are right-handers. And there's also a possibility where LSU sees Micah Bucknam. Mm-hmm. And we haven't even talked about that, but he's very good.
Yeah, and somebody LSU is clearly familiar with.
Yes, so I mean, it's interesting to see if they're prepared for that. I think Jay Johnson, obviously, and Nate Yeski would both know their tendencies. I don't know if they would do it, but he's one of their better arms, so I say why not throw him if there is a game 2 where you think he matches up well with your lineup.
Yeah,
But yeah,
you're gonna do everything. I don't think there's like if you're DBU, you're not going. Oh, they know Michael well. We can't put him out there. Like it's if he's
because I mean he's one of your best arms.
right.
And he's proven that.
It'll be the
it's gonna be like go throw strikes, man.
well, it's
Go-
the Sammy Dutton situation where he comes in
Exactly.
with a little bit more juice
And
because he wants
shoves
to
up
shove
there.
it. Yeah,
I think that situation's a little more different, though. I think Sammy Dutton was kind of more pushed out.
right.
If
That
anything.
I think you saw not really because they had like Jay was asked about this before the series and Sammy Dutton. You see his brother as the first base coach / I guess pinch hitter because he gets a 1 at bat, hits a homer.
1 at bat, 1 homer.
But
It's a nice little average.
His brother's baseball team was defunct, and so he went to Auburn. Sammy Dutton's, I believe, his fiance is from Auburn. They got engaged over the summer, so it made sense for him to like move closer to home. And if Sammy wanted to do that, I think it was like a very much. Now this is all before. Then you see Sammy Dutton pitch the way he pitched, and it felt like he did have a grievance with LSU. That didn't seem like. It does seem like that maybe there was more to it than just that because he was upset. He was pitching like he wanted to get a lick back on something that like y'all didn't think I was good enough. And I don't think Bucknam has that same
mentality.
vitriol.
Yeah, I don't think he has that same, I guess,
Yeah, like
the passion or
But I'm sure it means
motivation
more.
for it. It does definitely mean more because it's the postseason now. But I
Right.
don't think he's got that chip on a shoulder, say so.
No.
I mean, it's just how the chips kind of fell. But I would ask you, I mean, what are the keys to beating a Dallas Baptist team that is really good at hitting? I would say that's their strong suit is hitting. I would say getting ahead in the count. It's as simple as getting ahead in the count because this is a team that actually does strike out a good bit.
Yeah, and I believe I think it comes down to pretty much like one guy that if you want to, I've seen this be written about. It was there, Jay Grant, number 7, the catcher, that can hit for power, average, and he steals bases. Like, he's the catalyst for their entire offense. If you're able to limit, at least take him out of the ball game and limit him. And you've seen LSU do that well with other people's star players. Like, you've seen them come to the box and not perform, where they've been able to hold down some of the better hitters. And you clearly, like, this is no shock, but they have different plans for different players. But they could tell there's an emphasis to not let one of their best guys beat you.
Yeah,
and it's happened very rarely against LSU this year.
What I've been most impressive with this season is how Nate Yeske has attacked so many great hitters and their game plans for those great hitters. And I'm going to be really excited to see how that correlates to Dallas Baptist if LSU does see them. I'm sure they've already started scouting those two teams, Little Rock and them. But I mean, this is a guy that held Jace Laviolette in the A&M series to basically nothing until the last game. I think he had maybe one or two hits in the series. That's incredible. And then the Aloy brothers, he limited both of those guys to, minimal damage in that series. And a guy like Fisher, Andrew Fisher, barely did anything against LSU.
Right, and you saw it against you can go back to North Carolina, like their best player, their outfielder, like the center fielder didn't make he wasn't the one that was a difference maker in the ball game. Like I believe he got one like big time hit, but outside of that, like he's held down your best player. Like the best example is Alabama, like you said. Like
exactly.
Like LeBron didn't do anything.
LeBron wasn't an asset. It's all the best hitters, and you'd rather say, hey, go and beat me with someone else,
right? Rather
than a guy like that. And if it comes to a point where a guy gets hot this weekend, say someone from Dallas Baptist, and it's that hitter, Jay's just going to put him on. Yeah. At that point, especially with no runners on, I think.
And that's why you could turn it over to like LSU's lineup. That's why it's like important for the people behind Bear Jones, because if he starts swinging it,
Daniel Dickinson.
Yeah, and you've seen Dickinson be steady all year.
Right.
Like he's been a good, or if you put Fry behind him.
Right.
Like that's if Curiel gets on, it sets this whole thing up. Like it really is, and that's just baseball in general. But for LSU, it's really kind of been the catalyst for the entire offense. Right. So if Curiel gets on in front of Bear Jones, you have to kind of pitch to Bear, and if he's able to time you up, he can make it 2-0 very quickly. Or if it's later in the game and he has somebody on with less than 2, there's been times where he's been able to shorten up and either get you a single to the other side, double in the gap, or draw a walk, or be able to hit a sac fly. It's the strikeouts that when he limits those and stops chasing, that's whenever you're able to just get one across.
And you need Bear to get hot this
can't,
weekend. You need your best hitters on. I mean, that's something
we
don't really need to touch on much, but it's something that's definitely worth noting. It's you need your best hitters to bring their A game. And certainly I think that's going to happen.
I would just actually want to come back looking at the DBU stats.
Okay.
This seems to me to make a lot more sense. Like, this is a good argument to pitch Ianson tonight.
Yeah.
Because I think that this is the exact kind of team that Cade does damage against, right?
Yeah,
They're a little bit more dangerous.
Lefties.
And they strike out a lot.
Right.
And I think I think it's a good middle ground instead of fully pitching around your aces or whatever.
There is a world where we may see that. We may see Jay Johnson toss Anthony Ianson out there tonight. And
I'm starting to lean more that way than anything.
Me too. It's more believable, especially say something happens tonight where there's a weather delay. And you're like, what is going to happen? Right? And the game starts later than expected. You already had someone warming up in the pen, right? Anthony Ianson's more fresh than anyone. You go throw him.
Right, and, I mean, he's showing, I guess, you have small sample size, but to be able to kind of get ready when called upon with his ability to throw. I know it's one game, but he was able to come out of the pen in a
freaking
crazy,
monster.
in a monster situation, and that's the most
nightmare.
Uncomfortable you can be as a starter coming out of the bullpen with a man on third, nobody out, and then you have this play that happens.
He's just so cool and collected.
Yeah, like he's not phased by much. And Cade's the same way.
You really don't. I don't remember a pitcher at least that has dealt with that much pressure since Mikael Hilliard. Hilliard used to get out of jams like nothing.
Yeah, and like some self-created, and
Exactly, it was self-created.
But
and
he trusted himself. It doesn't bother him when he puts people on. Like it's like not a. Like he trusts himself to throw strikes in big spots.
Yeah.
And at that point, his stuff. And Mikael had one pitch that was like, if he's on with this, and like even if you know it's coming, good luck.
Right.
But Ianson has the ability to throw 3-4 pitches for strikes, and he can pitch you backwards. And he knows he's so confident in his stuff and his ability to throw
that
every
curveball.
pitch for strike that you're up there guessing.
Right, when
Like,
that curveball is on for
locate
sure,
one thing. Yeah.
and he's able to locate the fastball, good luck, because you're not hitting the curveball, period. If you do, you're getting lucky hits.
It's not a hard contact. But
yeah.
Jonathan, to your point, like when you look at the strikeout numbers for DBU, like you start
thinking, yeah.
As much as Jake can
the
say,
chase rate is higher for a team like
Cade, what does
like
he
Little
do?
Rock. I
What
would
does
say
he,
Little
he
Rock.
does he not lead the country in strikeouts?
Yeah, Cade does.
That's what I'm saying. So you can put a guy that's okay for, like I said, small sample size of what you've seen versus DBU as a lefty, four innings and one earned. Off of Connor Ware, I would say Cade Anderson is probably better than Connor Ware. And then so you see,
Yes.
I would love to find the splits, but I can't find their DBU splits in lefties versus righties. I don't know where it is, what paywall it's hidden behind, but I can't find it. But from what we've seen, that's one thing that you can start putting this puzzle together.
But Little Rock is the same way. Little Rock, their best hitter, has 49 strikeouts on the year. You know how high that is?
Yeah.
That's incredibly high.
And for DBU, Chayton Krause has 53.
Exactly.
And Jay Grant has 65.
Jay Grant has a lot.
Well, it's not like Ianson, is lacking for K ability either.
I'm not saying
he's
both
fourth
of
in
them.
the country too,
exactly.
so,
they have the ability. It's just at the point. What do you want in this
Yeah.
game? What do you want against this team, and what do you want tonight? So, we're gonna pitch it to a break before we get John Eads here. He's waiting on us right now. We're gonna get him all set up, and we're gonna talk some more LSU baseball when we come back for hour number 2 of Tingle and Co.
I've been giving nails like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard, man, I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Business is business, yeah. I grind for the check. Line up with me, you gon' see how different when I step up on the opponent's neck. Line up with me, you gon' see how different how I'm earning all of my respect. Line up with me, you gon' see how different how I run the game, but don't stretch. My hitters stay with me. Give them nothing, we putting up 60. We got power, you better call 50. Better chill like I reached like Wimby. It's not rocket science, shit you gotta know. We put them down like some dominoes. Wake up early, put the time in. Now I'm watching a lot of shows. Trying to send help when I come around, dog, it ain't working. Trying to just play, trying to stop me, dog, it ain't working. I handle business while your lames chirping. Who on my level, man, I'm still searching. I'm in their heads like a neurosurgeon. I'm everywhere like I'm Harold Perkins. Let's be stepping, we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard and I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Be stepping, we can never put on the same shoes. I've been giving L's like I know love and I can't lose. For myself, man, I can't lose. For my family, man, I can't lose. I grind hard, man, I can't lose. I'm stacking days, man, I can't lose. Grind up week, now let's get the money. I'm in that mode.
The fans have in fueling positive energy into the team and making it difficult on the opponent. And that was a very, very real thing. I remember this was the super regional, not the regional, but Trey Morgan hit a home run in the first. I was like, that's what everybody's been telling me about. Like that's what everybody's been telling me about. Like that sound, right there. And I think that was the delayed game. And then the next day, Dylan hit the bases clearing double. It's like, we're going to Omaha. Like that was the fork, if you will. And just like remember hearing that. And I'll be honest, I think it's happened a couple times this season against Arkansas. Arkansas game on Friday night is the one that stands out where, Aiden Jimenez is a great pitcher and hadn't given up anything to anybody out of the bullpen. And all of a sudden we got 2 guys on and got them in to tie the game. And I think they really made a difference there. And then Tennessee, of course, as well. So I think it exceeding or living up to the hype and the expectation of what what the fans do here, and I think they're great. I think they're great on a Tuesday night against a non-conference opponent. But that was lived up to the hype, so to speak.
Business, yeah. My grind for the check. Line up with me, you gon' see how different when I step up on the opponent's necks. Line up with me, you gon' see how different how I'm earning all of my respect. Line up with me, you gon' see how different how I run the game, but don't stretch. My hitters stay with me. Give them nothing, we putting up 60. We got power, you better call 50. Better chill like I reached like Wemby. It's not rocket science, shit you gotta know. We put them down like some dominoes. Working further, put the time in. Now I'm watching a lot of shows. Trying to send help when I come around, dog, it ain't working. Trying to just play, trying to stop me, dog, it ain't working. I handle business while your lanes chirping. Who on my level, man, I'm still searching. I'm in their heads like a neurosurgeon.
We are back for hour number 2 here on Tingle and Co. with a very special guest. Yeah, you are. You are. Mr. John Eads of WAFB. What's up?
Hey, thanks for having me back.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Noah can get. Is he getting Wi-Fi on the plane?
That's
what
the
we've been
great
trying to
debate,
figure out.
because we are concerned that he won't be able to watch anything. Like you mentioned, whenever we were talking off air about being in London, that was something that the time change was quite the difference. But I
Right.
was able to, like, for some reason. Oh, I know why. The mic'd up group chat. Like my phone would just start going off at like 4:30 in the morning. And I was like, oh, it's LSU's
His
probably
stuff
one.
finally sent.
Yeah, so no, like they have internet over there, believe it or not. Like the whole world, it's a fully functioning country.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? In the Bahamas?
Yeah,
No.
I was in London, but like my phone would start going off at odd hours. I was like, what? And I'd be like, oh, LSU's playing. So I'd pop it up on YouTube, watch out, and I got to watch some of it, but I don't think Noah has that ability if he's
Right.
on the plane.
Right.
But
They
I
need
don't
to
know
have a
how that
Cagenomics app
Yes.
on the Delta TVs or whatever.
it should, yeah, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah. What he should have done is started a GoFundMe this week for $20 or whatever it is.
So that he
Started his
could,
premium
I'm sure he
content.
could have raised $20.
he could get his
to
first
the internet.
class
I'm sure his. Yeah.
SEC network or wherever they're playing today. But
I think I was talking to Ben McDonald. I think today's game is on actual TV, but then tomorrow's
is not.
is probably not. Yeah, it's all
Makes
very fluctual. Or
no sense.
Whatever the word is. Fluid.
Fluid.
Who's calling with Ben? Do you know?
I don't. No. I know Ben, and that's it.
I think Neil, maybe Dave Neal, might be calling with him. But John, it's time to talk matchups here. LSU, Little Rock tonight or today at 2 p.m.
Could be tonight.
Could be tonight with weather impeding. But if it is, you have to feel good with all the delays that LSU has been in this year. Obviously, the LSU pitching situation is still one of the biggest questions of what is Jay Johnson going to do with his starters? What is he going to roll out, right? What are you kind of leaning towards today as far as what decision is he going to make? Is he going to go Cade or is he going to go Anthony?
I'm thinking he'll go with this guy.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
If I had to put money on it, that's what I would do. But I'm not going to get too much into detail because none of this stuff was, official. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they didn't flat out say this or that, but they made some interesting comments leading me to believe it could be Saturday. That's all I'll say. So I think it's going to be Cade, but as Lloyd was saying earlier in the show, don't be surprised if it's not Cade today and he goes tomorrow.
And that's what we were talking about earlier today is just because Little Rock is a team where they strike out a lot, and Anthony Ianson has the ability to make people chase a lot more with his pitches as far as outside of the zone. And Arkansas, Little Rock is, like I said, they're not a great batting team. I think they're a better pitching team than anything.
Yeah, when you only have 8 conference wins or whatever it was, you're not great really at either. But with that said, they were ravaged by injuries this year, and they didn't really start playing their best until the end of the season when guys got healthy and they started to figure it out. They were picked second, though, in their conference's preseason poll, so they always had the talent. They just hadn't had the ability to put it all together
until now.
They just did not play like the Little Rock that you saw the whole season in their conference tournament, which happens sometimes. They've only got like 3 guys, I believe, that are hitting over 300, so to your point, not very skilled offensively.
Yeah.
I was talking to a guy that kind of covers them a little bit. He traveled in from the Arkansas market. Jack Allen, I believe is his last name, Allen. And I asked him kind of, is it more lefty? Is it more righty? How's the offense look? He's like, yeah, kind of balanced one way and the other. So if you're kind of looking at things like they're going to throw a lefty because they have a lot of lefties or a righty because they have a lot of righties, there's nothing really there with that. And as far as offense goes, they kind of just scrap together runs however they can get them. Like, they're not a big power team. I don't think anybody has double-digit home runs. As I said, not a lot of guys hitting over 300, so it's kind of just –
They might small ball LSU.
You might have to.
You might see that a lot, especially if they can't hit.
Right, and you're not going to get a lot of free opportunities because LSU starters at least don't walk a lot of guys, and that's really kind of their one avenue unless they make fielding errors, which they don't really. LSU is one of the better fielding teams in the country as well. So from an offensive standpoint, not very good. And then pitching-wise, they have Wells, but he's got over a 5 ERA. So, we talk about how good he's been in the past. But
He's got the stuff, though.
He does.
Certainly.
He does. But, if you're over 5 in the, what are they, the Ohio Valley Conference,
Right.
no disrespect, I mean, it's not going to translate, I feel like, against an SEC team, the way I see it.
Good point.
And so they don't, excel with pitching either. Like, he's their guy. They have a pretty good number 2 as well. But it's nothing like.
You think LSU might see him tonight?
No, it's
if
Wells.
the opportunity.
It's
No,
Wells.
I'm saying after Wells.
Oh, no, I don't.
You don't think
so.
you don't think
No.
there's a chance that they go? I think it's Jackson Wells and then Jack Klein. They're two Jacks.
Yes, think about this. Rhode Island. By the way, I want to mention this. Rhode Island. A lot of you guys are sleeping on Rhode Island.
No,
I think
they can
give
hit the hell out of the
DBU
ball.
A real run
Yeah.
for their money.
Yeah.
They're throwing their ace, Tristan Levesque, lefty.
Yep.
So if Little Rock loses this game and Rhode Island loses their game, they don't have anybody else. Rhode Island's second guy is also over a 5 ERA, if my memory serves.
Yeah,
He's
Urena.
really struggled this year. Yeah, Urena. So Little Rock could go the whole weekend without seeing an opposing team's ace, depending on what LSU does, even though they have 2 aces. The point is they're going to save their second guy for that Rhode Island game because they would probably have the pitching advantage, at least to start, in that game should both teams lose. So, no, I don't think we see their second guy.
Did you find out who was starting for DBU tonight?
No, dude. So
they
gosh, bro.
They wouldn't say, right?
So we videotape LSU's practice. We wait around for the media availability, and I thought it was going to be right after practice, and I probably should have, been smarter about this and just stayed around and filmed some of DBU's practice. But we waited around. We finally finish up LSU media, and then Dallas Baptist wraps up their practice, and I'm like, bummer, wanted to see that, but we'll still talk to them and get some insight. They exited the stadium, hit the buses, bye.
They haven't
Nothing.
talked to any media.
Damn.
No, they haven't. I know Scone
Marshawn
wanted to do an
Lynch.
interview, didn't talk to him. You're supposed to.
You're required, I thought, to talk to the media.
The press release says, hey, we're going to bring a coach and a player to the tent. You can talk to them. They didn't do that. And I specifically asked if we could get that because everybody wanted to hear from them. That's probably going to be who you're going to see.
And,
the winners bracket.
everybody in Baton Rouge wants to get mad at Jay for not announcing a pitcher. That's why you don't.
At least
do
he
it.
goes talks to the media.
Yeah,
that's what I'm
no,
saying.
he's
That's
more
what I'm
than
saying, though.
available.
That people, you want to know why people do it. It's because of things like that. Obviously, DBU is they're secretive. They don't want to give out any cards
Something.
because they.
I mean,
apparently they think that. I mean, obviously,
Fucking be a professional about it.
seriously.
Like, don't just avoid it. Like, you do have an obligation if it's
Hey.
on. Like, you could go there and say nothing. But
hey, ball don't lie, right?
Yeah, to not
So,
show up
look,
is kind
Respect
of
the
bush.
game. Yeah, respect that.
I don't know if they did it on purpose or not.
Well, how could you not know? I mean, between the
they
lines.
do this every year. They've been in the regional 11 straight years. This is like protocol. You do a pre-tournament media availability. So I don't know if they did it on purpose or not. Maybe they just forgot. Obviously, we're not their biggest priority. Like, they got bigger things to worry about. But the coach declining Scone's interview earlier this week leads you to believe that they just have some kind of chip on their shoulder with everybody.
That
here.
I can I can find ways, like, if you don't want to do a radio show interview off, like, that's not on campus or after practice, like, that's your prerogative. To skip, like, media that is assigned where you're supposed to be there, like, I'm sure there's in the bylines, like, you don't have to do this. Like, it's not mandatory, but it is very much, I would say, expected. If
Everybody else did
Little
it.
Rock's going to do it.
Well, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
thing. That's the difference between a lot of these other these 2 seeds and these 3 and 4 seeds. Like, when we would talk to
Is he
these
mad he's
coaches
not
like
hosting?
Central Connecticut State and all those other teams, they're happy to tell you about their team, right? Like Coach Serrata, right?
Oh, he's great.
He's awesome.
Yeah. They were so
even
happy
Little
that
Rock's
we
coach was very
talked to him.
nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Chris Curry, yeah.
exactly.
Chris Curry.
Shout out Chris Curry.
Shout out
He was
Chris
awesome.
Curry.
2-4, baby.
That's right.
No, it was just kind of frustrating because I really wanted to get some insight on DBU. Because I haven't watched a lot of DBU this year. So
I've watched him play one game.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. I mean, that was just really frustrating because now we don't have
they can hit the ball.
So yeah,
they have arms.
My thing about that is like, what are you trying to hide whenever?
I don't know.
Like what?
There's
whatever
stats and film out there for everyone.
Well, you
I
could
just
just
don't
go up
understand
there and how many coaches have gone up there, said nothing, and it's like, all right, how hard was that to do for 5 minutes? Like the media very much will
They have
know
a job to do. Yeah.
if you're not going to say anything, then it wraps up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But if you're an open book and you want to talk, like Jay will answer any question you have. Like, will he tell you exactly what you want to hear? No. But he's more than happy to field the question and be like, I'm not going to tell you the answer to that. And you're like, okay. But to not go is it says a lot about old Dallas Baptist over there and what they think of themselves. I'm sure he's like, we should be hosting.
Yeah, maybe. And again, I don't know if they did it on purpose or not, so I don't want to make accusations. But it was really frustrating because I want to do my job, and people kind of got mad that I was covering Little Rock and Rhode Island yesterday at all. To that, I'm like, okay, well they're here in the regional, and
you could play.
Nobody else covers them.
I can't tell you how many people are going to want to know about these teams.
Exactly.
So, like there are diehard LSU fans that are trying to find out, like, what do these teams have? What can we expect from these teams?
And that's why these media sessions and practices are so important.
They're important.
Because we get a look. You can't go on YouTube.
Especially if they're giving it to you, right? They're allowing you to do practice.
Yeah.
Go ahead and do it.
Yeah. So that was just odd. But I don't know. We'll hear from later, I guess.
So that might set the tone a little bit for this weekend.
There's some kind of juice there.
There might be a little.
But you have to go through Little Rock first, and they have to get through Rhode Island.
Right. I'm thinking Rhode Island's got a great offense. Levesque's their guy, tough lefty to hit. They could really give DBU some trouble. It could be a high-scoring game. They walk a lot. They
got a lot of stolen bases.
They cause havoc on the base path. So, yeah, that could be a really good game.
A lot of home runs, too, from a team. I think they have 90-something. Or they might have 85.
They have a lot.
But their leading home run guy is 19.
Yeah, good kid, too. We talked to him yesterday.
Is it Anthony
DePiro
or something like that?
Yeah, good hitter. So, yeah, I mean, don't just assume DBU's going to win that first game, and it's LSU DBU.
And that would be so funny, by the way. Like, DBU just doesn't talk to the media. They think they're ahead of the game, right? They don't announce their starters, and then they go and end up losing first game.
Yeah, maybe
that's what they're due for. Karma.
Like, we don't have much good to say. Like, nervous. Rhode Island.
Maybe so.
I don't know. But as much as that is interesting to hear about DBU, because now I think differently of them. I had something now.
And that
it doesn't
pisses me off a little bit.
The Michael Jordan effect, where it's like I'll make something up in my head. Now I don't need to. Like now there's a legitimate
Now there's
chip.
a little bit of
That was annoying, man.
But and now but obviously have to get to Arkansas Little Rock. If I pose you this for LSU baseball, this could be for the weekend. It could be for tonight or today.
Right.
I don't know now that I'm looking at Steve Caparata. Like this is not what I wanted to see. But
I'm sure you've been asking around.
The weather.
Yeah.
I've seen Steve's, Dr. Steve's, give him his respect,
That's right,
forecast. It doesn't look like there's a massive cell. It's just a couple of little ones.
Scattered.
So it's hard to say. Like they're not going all in on the fact that there's going to be a delay, but they're certainly saying it's quite possible. Yeah, kind of like that kind of stuff. Well, that's a big cell there. I didn't see that one.
Well, this was 12 hours ago. This is 7/17.
Oh, okay. I thought that was
Nothing new here though.
Yeah,
for LSU.
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. I really don't. You don't want to start the game right and then pause it midway, kind of like you did with Northwestern State. You've probably done that in the past. Mongo, the GM of the Bucks, Koki Riley from the Advocate's actually doing a story on this right now. Yeah, about how this all kind of works. He's been doing this for a couple years now, and they got their iPads out, they got it on lock, so they're gonna make the best decision based on that. Based on that forecast you just showed me, I didn't look at that all the way through. I don't think they're going to start this game at 2:00.
This is over Walker right now.
Oh, my God.
No, this is 18 hours ago in Walker. I don't know what that means, but that looks like rain. We'll see.
If that forecast you just showed me is what's
holding?
Yeah, then I don't think they're going to start the game at 2.
Look, I'll throw a little analogy, though. LSU, like Keith Whitley, is no stranger to the rain. So they definitely have a little bit of an advantage to a point where they're used to this. Not only that, they get to stay in their own clubhouse. Like they get to, be in their locker rooms if there was a delay, just like those other games, right? And that throws those other teams off because they have to sit around in the dugout for a little while, and then who knows what they're going to do. Maybe they go back to the bus or, whatever they do. That's a huge advantage for LSU, and they've been through it so much this year. You would think, like, that's going to mess a little bit up of Little Rock's mental, maybe, or their focus.
Think about this, too. When DBU and Rhode Island play, that game's probably not going to start till 8, 9 o'clock.
And you love that, yeah.
You're going to have to play tomorrow morning.
And that's why Jay did it.
And then the winner plays LSU on very short rest.
And every LSU fan wanted to say, obviously you would want a night game.
You might get one.
You might get one.
Tonight?
Not only that,
Yeah.
you might get more night games if you want to go watch some more baseball tonight. Who knows?
But yeah,
I don't think it's going to start that late.
No, I don't
Probably,
think so.
based on that, probably 5:30, if I had to guess.
Like, as far as going, I mean, I would.
it's like
agree
start
with
time,
that.
but that's like you said.
That's a slow
when
sell.
when people get upset about him picking the day game.
That's exactly why he does it.
This is why, to give yourself every opportunity to not only be able to get a game in on time or as close to as a normal start time as possible, but also you're in, when you host a regional, you have that kind of say so of when you're going to throw it, when you're not, because you saw it in 2023 when there was times to play that baseball game and it was not going to happen. Like, I'm not pitching, I'm not playing unless I'm fully sure my guy who's going to throw can throw.
And it's not only a thing that happens in Baton Rouge. I feel like in 2023, especially, I remember there were so many rain delays at every single regional. Now, last year it wasn't as bad, but there still was some weather, delays and stuff. I feel like when you have so many hosts in the South, it's going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's the advantage of earning that. You work hard and you succeed during the season. That's one of the hidden advantages you get in the postseason. It's your ballpark, and it's your rules. So, smart by him taking the first game.
Exactly, and it just takes that much more focus and attention to detail for Little Rock if they want to just mentally be locked in for a game that keeps switching, and you have to keep warming up and you have to keep going back in the dugout. LSU has done this so many times this year where you're not hoping for a rain delay, but you're certainly like, if it happens, you feel really good about yourself. Yeah.
But it is going to be like, I'm looking at the hourly weather. 2 o'clock, 19% chance. 3 o'clock, 19% chance. 4 o'clock, 24. And then 5 p.m. 47, 51. So there's weather. It's just a matter of, and if it's close, like, don't be surprised if we're not gonna do it yet.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of hope what they do is, if they do see rain in the area, don't make those teams go out and warm up right away. Like,
that's what I don't know. Like, because you do have to make a decision if you can play. Like, if you're out there at 2.
That's what I'm saying. Make the decision probably at noon
they
today.
will. They're very locked
especially
in
when
on
it comes
these
to now. It's the NCAA, in charge of this. So I'm sure they're going to be maybe a little more.
They're
cautious
going to make
with
they're
it.
going to make you play at some point, but they're also like that. It's one of the weirdest things in sports is, like, they don't play around with weather in baseball. They're like, no. Can't go out there. And then football, go play in a monsoon. Don't care.
Right. It's a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, my next question. I mean, a lot of the comments today were discussing. They're thinking that Jake Brown is the starter for this weekend with a lot of right-handed pitchers that LSU is going to have to be facing. What is your take on that?
Well, they started him, I think, both games in Hoover, right, if I'm not mistaken, and definitely against Ole Miss when they were facing the righty. I was waiting. I was like, hey, this is a Jake Brown game. Like I told Chessa before the game, hey, Jake Brown's going to have a big day today, I think, because it was righty-lefty, and he's been hot recently. But then he struggled in that game. And then I asked Jared Jones yesterday at media availability, who do you think's the X factor for this offense in the postseason? And he said Josh Pearson. Like, he could have picked anybody, and he picked Josh Pearson. Yeah. And Pearson's obviously been postseason Pearson many times in his career at LSU, and has came up clutch a lot this season.
He's a very clutch player.
He's been a good hitter for them this season, but it's just tough to get him out there because everybody's like, Jake Brown. They're pounding the table, you know? So I think that Jake Brown's going to start, but Josh Pearson is just as capable, especially against the right-hander.
And if you see any signs of struggle, Jay's going to go straight to it.
And he didn't do that in Hoover. Like, he kept Jake Brown in the game. He didn't pinch hit and it wasn't even for Jake Brown. It was for Milam in the ninth inning against Ole Miss.
That was weird.
So, I don't know. we'll see how it goes. But Jake, I mean, we all know the talent he has. He can
Yeah.
take over a ball game, man. Two swings of the bat, he can hit a homer and a triple just like that. So I'll look for him to bounce back. I do think he will start, but I think Josh Pearson's going to factor in big too.
Another one I didn't have in my notes that we really have not talked about at all is Tanner Reeves has been a guy that LSU hasn't really gone to much. And you have to think it's because of the glove, probably. They feel so comfortable with Braswell at third base. But if Braswell – and right now it seems like he's seeing the ball better, but if he goes into, a slump per se, do you see Reeves at any point this weekend maybe?
I don't think so. I think the only time you'd see him, and I love the guy. I think he's a great player, but I think Jay just values the glove over everything right now.
Yeah.
Like, even if you're not getting any offense out of Braswell, he can bunt, he can sacrifice. He's shown that he can do that
and
this year.
He's
hitting
seen
the ball well.
Yeah, I was about to say, he pieced the ball up probably better than anybody against Ole Miss.
Yep, and it was just wrong place.
Yeah, I mean,
there's a guy right
two
there.
great plays.
So I think Braswell's locked in. I mean, he's coming up on the closing stretch of his college career here. I have a fun tidbit I want to get into actually after this about that. And I think Jay's going to keep him in there just because of his defense and what he's done there. So you might see Reeves, but it would only be in a pinch hit late game situation where he's not going to go out
get a
there
bunt down
and play defense. He's got power. I think if
Yeah,
he's going in
it
the
would
game,
be like if
he's
you're
going
down.
in to hit.
Yeah, he's going to put him in a chance where one swing can tie it or
tie
change
it.
Because
it.
Braswell can bunt. You're not
Yeah.
going to pinch hit him
Oh,
just for
yeah.
a bunt. Did you guys know Braswell's a pitcher?
Yes, he closed for South Carolina.
I didn't know that.
2 years ago.
I was talking to him the other day, and I was like, so, you're going to try to play pro and stuff like that? He's like, yeah, I'm going to be a pitcher. And then I didn't think anything of it. I was like, wait, what?
Was he joking or no?
No, he was serious. He throws 96, apparently. It's crazy.
Let's get
I
this.
was like, what?
Wait,
Love to see it.
wait, hold on.
Did you know that he was a pitcher?
I knew that he had done it at South Carolina. I didn't
Yeah.
think it was something he was still thinking about.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought he gave it up.
Isn't that
Well,
crazy?
yeah,
Well,
if
maybe
I threw-
LSU might have an arm in the bullpen
That's what I'm
that they.
saying. God, if it gets to that, that
They're
would be
saying-
unbelievable. Like Will Helmer's last
that would be
year.
the story.
Also played
They're not
third.
going to.
No,
That's not going to.
no.
I guarantee
That'd
that's
be-
not going to happen.
No,
That
it's
would
not.
be all time.
That was just crazy. I was like, you're kidding,
Yeah,
right?
he closed.
You ain't get my
And-
chain here.
And I think he was pretty good too.
Clearly.
Yeah, he grew up. I think. Well, he played everything, but he did a lot of pitching growing up and stuff. I did not know. I just can't picture him as a pitcher. Maybe it's because I've seen him only play infield so much.
I know. I've never seen. I don't. I've never seen highlights of him pitching.
Me neither. That was completely off my radar. Like,
Did Monster have the hair? Yeah.
No. So he got a haircut. His mom posted a picture on Instagram story. Shaved the hair, but Jared said to wait and see today. I think he got it cut, but last year he wanted to keep it a secret. But they had to go to Chapel Hill, and he had to get it done before they left, so he couldn't hold it away.
Today
it's
gonna be.
And I saw him at practice.
I thought you were gonna. I thought you were just about to tell me that Jared Jones is gonna have it. too.
No. He mentioned that Stevens. It seems like he's going to do the hair thing. He didn't have it yesterday. He wants to keep it a secret. He wanted to do that last year, and I saw it on Tuesday when I went to practice before they left, and I decided, obviously, if he tells me to keep it a secret, I'm going to keep it a secret, which I did. But then everybody saw it on Thursday because they had to in Chapel Hill or whatever
and
it
then
was.
Tweet it away.
So, yeah, we'll see it today though.
Next question. Which,
Wait, hold on.
or
we
no?
have three.
We have-
He had 7 appearances for South Carolina. Michael Braswell. 7 appearances, 3
we have any video?
saves,
Yep.
5 innings pitched, 3 earned.
Yep.
9 strikeouts, 4 walks.
I'm looking for video here.
Crazy.
I don't know if it was his freshman year. I'm sure it wasn't like games.
Something.
But what did you want? I just thought that was interesting. But
Yeah, me too.
If you had to name so you heard Pearson as what they think is the X factor. Who were your say 3 that you're looking for from LSU to be able to jumpstart this offense in some way?
I know the first one. I'll have to think of the other ones. Definitely Derek Curriel.
Yes.
Like, he's struggled recently, and I think it's going to be paramount in this game against Little Rock that you get to Wells early because he pitches deep into games. He's thrown over 90 pitches in 10 games. The best outing of the season for him was his last game in the conference tournament where he threw like a complete game, 130
something.
pitches basically.
On 2 days of rest, right?
Something like that.
That's insane.
And so I think if you can get his pitch count up and get him out of the game near 100 pitches, they're going to throw him until he can't throw anymore because, like, this is the biggest game he's ever pitched in. He said it himself, Jackson Wells. If you can get him out in the 4th or 5th inning and really get to that bullpen, then I think you can have success. So I think getting off to a hot start will be important. And DC, when this offense has been at its best, like you think of the DBU game, LSU could score in 2 ABs. Like, Curiel can walk or double or single, and then Jones will knock him in. Like, they did it against
doubles.
DBU.
Yeah, he doubled.
He hit a single or he walked, one of the two, and then Jones hit a double off the wall, and it was 1-0, just like that. In Hoover, he didn't really – I think he had a double, and that was, like, the highlight of the weekend
the
for DC.
A&M, right?
Yeah.
And it was like a 10-pitch at bat.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's where he's at his best.
That's what
he's
you
driving
need.
up the pitch count. He's seen a lot of pitches. That helps out Jared, and then he gets on base.
But another thing he's really good at is he gets ahead, which means like he's aggressive early in the counts where he makes pitchers pay for throwing too many strikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's something we've seen him do.
Yep.
I didn't mean to cut you off. But.
No, you're good. So he's definitely a guy for me. I think the top of the lineup needs to produce. They didn't in Hoover, and that's why they didn't score much.
Yeah.
They put too much pressure on the bottom of the lineup, and usually that doesn't work out well for you.
It's so funny because it's like you could boil down baseball to like really it's that simple.
It is.
And like if you don't get the top of the lineup guys on, and then the way that it turns over where it's 7, 8, 9 coming up at some point where it's like that there's a reason like at some point there's a reason they're down there, but whenever they're up when runners on less than 2 outs, like that's when it starts to turn the lineup over. That's when you see Stanfield get going. But whenever there's 2 outs, nobody on, and Stanfield's up, you don't like. That's not when he's at his best, because whenever he's at his best, it's him being aggressive, working pitch counts, and you see that swing inevitably that he sends one down the left field line. It turns the whole thing over. But whenever they struggle at the top, and it's so much pressure on a freshman to be like go bat lead off for 56 games, and then. You knew that dip was coming at some point. It didn't have to be like this, but it wasn't going to be doing this the entire time. That's not how, like you've seen it happen to when Ray Froms was batting over 450 for almost a year and ended up at like 404. Dylan Cruz is hitting almost 500 in 2023, and it drops at some point.
That's how it is.
Like Curiel, that's just what baseball does. Like Curiel, now you just have to find like instead of 0 for 4, give me 1 for 3.
Yeah,
and then
with
get
a
back.
walk.
Like a walk,
or
like
2 for 4.
But this lineup is contingent on what he does. Like you can have Bear Jones go 0 for 4 and still win. You can have Luis Hernandez go 0 for 3 and still win. What you can't have is Curiel, Bear Jones, and then Luis Hernandez all do it in the same game.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you have guys that can win you baseball games without Bear Jones, which is when I think he's at his best, when he feels like he doesn't have to change the score. Whenever he can work at bats and he trusts the guys behind him like Ethan Fry or Jake Brown or Hernandez, like whoever it is, whenever they're playing well behind him, that's when the whole lineup changes. And it all starts kind of with Curiel getting on base because then you have to be uber careful to Bear Jones.
Yeah.
I feel like LSU has not won any of those games this year that DC has not gotten on base. There's been like 4 or 5 of them.
I bet. I mean, you probably don't even have to look it up.
Yeah, I can confidently say that, I think, without even researching that. So he's one. I think Milam's another, just because he's a switch hitter. He has that versatility.
And he's
middle of the lineup, especially if DC's getting on and Dickinson's getting singles and stuff, and they're walking Bear because they don't want to throw him a strike. That's going to be the guy that can do the damage. So
Milam's in prime spots to be able to change the game.
Yeah.
And it has that. It's come in spurts. He has 10 home runs, but
especially with the lineup where he's
That's
been
what I'm
put
saying,
at, like lately he's been
in
put
such a
at
spot,
that
if he
7
gets
or 8.
hot, it changes the dynamic of what you're doing
I mean,
offensively.
it's almost like he has the ability now to flip the lineup when he's
and the
being
fact
put
that they've
at
been able
7
to
or 8.
win 40 games without him really being what you saw last year. If he gets going, good Lord.
Seriously, yeah. He looked good in BP. Coach Johnson was watching him intently and heard a lot of good Steve, things like that. So hopefully he's dialing that back in. They're swinging new bats. They got some new Marucci bats. Apparently.
Cat what?
I don't know.
Cat Ted.
Dude, I played baseball until I was in 6th grade, and that's it. I swung whatever bat was that looked
given
good,
to you.
The closest to yeah.
This one looks cool.
Yeah.
This one.
Swing
I have
33-30,
no
no
idea.
clue.
Like I was there on Tuesday, and Marucci was there, and they were like, "Yeah, we're trying to keep this thing a secret and stuff like that." And I'm like, "Guys, I don't know the first thing about a baseball bat, But yeah, I have to film. Like,
Didn't they give Little Rock some bats?
they did
too?
because
Yeah.
Little Rock's a Marucci school too.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah,
That's cool. And didn't Skip talk to Little Rock or?
I don't. So that
You're kind of
thing-
getting Make-A-Wished here. If you're getting,
Yeah,
you're getting
yeah.
bats and new gloves, and
Yeah.
Skip will come talk to you. It's like, what a vacation.
I don't know. He may have.
This isn't even business at this point. It's just it's like a dentist trip. You're like, all right, here's your goodies.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. That's
He
I
may
mean,
have.
that Southern hospitality, you can't beat it.
Right.
And
No.
if they beat LSU, they'll be able to walk around the wall and people will high five them, which
Yeah.
is that tradition is. It is what it is. It's the friendly confines of the box. We root
Right.
for both.
Yeah, and what they did is they took Skip Bertman's hold the rope, Coach Chris.
He stole a
Curry.
book.
Well, he kind of took his analogy and shared that with the players, and that's kind of what they've used as their
Mantra.
rally cry or mantra or whatever for the postseason. And they thought they were going to Arkansas, but then they end up coming to LSU, so it's kind of coincidental. And Curry played at Mississippi State. He was pretty tight with a lot of those guys on the late 90s
The
LSU
catcher, I
teams
think.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, but great guy, great dude. But
Yeah, he seems awesome.
he is. Yeah, he was.
Something about those Chris Currys.
Tell me about him. Great name.
DC Milam. I kind of liked the catcher conversation too, because Luis Hernandez has come up big offensively at points this season for LSU, at A&M against Mississippi State, Pico Khan. He's got it in him, and Cade Arambiti's getting more opportunities, so hopefully he's more fresh. Like LSU hasn't played a game in about a week.
Yeah.
So
Just about.
Luis should be getting fresher and fresher as the weeks go when he's not having to catch,
Every
a
single
Friday,
game.
a Saturday,
And he
a
didn't
Sunday,
play on
you know.
Sunday, so.
Right. And
Yeah.
he didn't start against Ole Miss either. I think it was
That's what I'm
Arambiti's
saying.
game.
That's what I meant. He didn't play Saturday.
So
It well deserved. Like
Yeah.
him with his legs underneath, you've seen the difference.
Yep.
Like, because there was a stretch where he was catching every weekend.
Yeah.
Because Aaron Beatty was
struggling.
freshman
He wasn't ready
adjustment.
yet.
Yeah. And
I think he is now, though. I
what
think
the-
he's there.
It was
Everybody
a
looks good.
defensive thing where it changed. Like obviously he has all the ability in the world. It just felt like the game was moving a little fast for him. But his personality, you can tell that he's been good his whole life. Like this isn't something that's going to be who I am.
Yeah, Aaron Beatty's got pop, man.
And
does.
his swing is like swing's elite.
When
And
he
whenever he
just
puts it
creates
all together,
contact,
he'll be like what you had with Micah Gibbs. Where you're like, oh, you
like
have a
that.
catcher that can do everything. And that's what Aaron Beatty reminds me of
Which
a little bit
LSU
more pop.
hasn't had in a while, by the
No,
way.
yeah, well, don't you speak ill of Milazzo. That's
I'm not saying
slander.
Well, second year Milazzo was a lot better than the
He did his
championship
job.
series. No, he did his,
On the
his
plate.
job.
Be a
You're not
leader.
really supposed to get much from your catcher.
Yeah.
Yeah,
typically.
offensively.
But when you can, it's a plus.
Yeah,
Tyler
So,
McManus comes to mind.
I think Cade could change that, though. I mean, the guy has serious power.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, it was an adjustment. I mean, you don't catch Cade Anderson in high school or Anthony Ianson
Or Chase
right,
Shore.
Oh,
Struz
for sure.
or Jacob Myers.
Right.
You
It's
know?
a little different.
So
That's- yeah,
I
that's
think he's starting to get a
rude
handle on
awakening.
it. Yeah.
What about the bullpen arms? I mean, we talked about it a little bit today. Outside of the big three in Cason Evans, Zach Cowan, and Chase Shores, who do you expect, or who's a name that you expect to step up this weekend, kind of moving forward, just in the postseason, maybe getting hot? Somebody we haven't really, or somebody we really don't expect right now to see, just spark.
Did you say I can't say Myers?
No.
No, I didn't say that.
I think if Myers can continue to throw strikes and keep that command, I mean, sky's the limit. Like, he threw 2 1/3, if I'm not mistaken, with the 4 Ks, no walks, no hit batters. Like, that guy was on one. And he was showing emotion.
Yeah.
That was the most emotion I've seen him pitch with all year. Yeah, he's kind of a timid, soft-spoken guy when you're not watching him pitch. But to see him kind of bring some of that fire was awesome. And some people have brought up the possibility that he could be a spot starter for you, possibly. So I asked Coach Johnson yesterday, does he have starter caliber stuff? He said, yeah, he does.
He started at Nichols.
He did.
Did he
start
start
at Nichols.
in the Alabama Tuscaloosa regional a few years
Yes, he
back?
did.
He did.
That was
And
one
he
of his
gave them
better games. I think.
absolutely,
Yeah.
Jim.
So
There you go,
he's a guy. Maverick Rizzi. I was at practice Tuesday, and they were doing live BPs, whatever.
Live
it is.
ABs.
Live ABs at the end of practice, and he was so dialed into what he was doing. And he didn't want to get off the mound. Like Coach Yeski was like, "Hey, we got to keep you fresh for the weekend," and he was like, "I don't want to. I want to keep throwing." So he is on a different level right now.
Yeah,
I
they're
think that
locked
he
in.
wants the opportunities, and he'll definitely get one, if not multiple, this weekend. So he's a guy. Jaden Newt for sure. I think he or Connor Ware could be the spot starter for you should you need a game 4 guy or something like that. Though Newt will probably throw in that third game.
Yeah, I think he's earned that over the like he would be. It's almost at the point where you'd be surprised if he didn't.
Yeah.
Like he's been kind of. And I know people are reacting
He
to
has
what you
to be,
just saw, but Newt's been like consistently
He's
the
been
last
good.
3
Yep.
times you've seen him throw.
And
It's been-
efficient.
yeah, and he's been like
So efficient.
He's found something with that split finger fastball that it becomes like, okay, if you have that as a pitch that you can rely on and throw for a strike, like you become hard to hit. Same thing with like the Myers conversation has become, okay, like you've seen it, and it's not just what you saw in his last outing. Like he's kind of slowly been putting it together the last couple of times he's been out there.
Yeah.
And so you can start to trust them, but it's been such a larger sample size of them not being able, like you would see him for a third of an inning, and then it'd be 2 walks out, and then it would be same thing with a lot of the guys that you can name. Like I can go down the list of guys that you like. Connor Bench, haven't seen him in forever.
Yeah.
Connor Ware's been in that spot a couple times. So
Cooper Williams,
Cooper
man.
Williams
He
is a
likes
bit better.
Cooper Williams.
He likes Cooper
Williams is the last name I was going to say.
I think that's the X factor. So say
'Cause he's their-
if he
he's
gets
their
hot,
lefty.
I'm telling you, lefties are everything.
Yeah.
And when Nate Ackenhausen came in, in 23 and he shined, that gave Jay Johnson the ability to do so much more with his bullpen. It allowed him to save Riley Cooper for just the end of games. It allowed him to go and throw other guys like you saw Blake Money a few times in that series with Florida. And then I just think Cooper Williams has a great mix. He's just got to be able to put it all together. And if he does, it's a scary thing because LSU is going to be so good pitching-wise. And we always say it, great pitching always beats great hitting.
Yeah, Cooper hasn't thrown a lot of extended outings, but he's given you an inning here, a couple outs here and there. So I'm not sure what his longevity is. But definitely if you're trying to get through part of an order in the 7th, 8th, and rotate things. And
a lot of righties and a lot of lefties.
Get it done for you. Yeah, he's their guy. Like Primo had his moments, but I think that Jay really trusts Cooper as their lefty out of the pen right now.
And he's a freshman, right?
He is a freshman. Great kid.
A lot of freshmen on this team.
Yeah, it's core 4.
Yeah.
Schmidt, Evans, Williams, and
Curriel.
Rizzi.
You got Curriel.
From a pitching standpoint.
Pitching standpoint. Now, obviously, the offense was a question against Ole Miss. Do you think I just want to kind of ask, what was the body language like at practice during BP yesterday? How locked in did they look? Because a lot of times you'll see these teams, when they go into a regional facing a 4 seed, they're looking ahead, right? They're always looking ahead, and that's why you see a lot of people get caught, sleeping. Do you think LSU is locked in enough for the game tonight?
I think so, and you could make that argument during the season, like when they have a bad Sunday and they come back and they have a Tuesday midweek. Were there any games really this year besides Northwestern State
That's
where
what
they
won.
Didn't smash them? No. They came out, they put up crooked numbers early, and it was over by 7 innings for the most part. So they respond quickly. They don't look past anybody. I think they need a big game just for themselves and their confidence. So it's not one of those things where they're like, we'll just put together 4 or 5 and then really explode in the second game. Like they want to have a big game to get their confidence back, their swagger back. And I have no reason to think that they won't. So you're going to see a different level of competition, I think. I think the focus is going to be there, and that's been the one thing this team's been good at this season is responding when they don't play well for a stretch. Literally every time. You can go back on the schedule. When did they have a bad weekend on the road?
And
how did they come back?
Two in a row, exactly.
They won, I think, every series.
Every midweek, at least.
Yeah.
That they lost a series to.
They just play better at home. It is as simple as that. And you could try to dive into why. Do they average more hours sleeping? Is the batter's eye better? Whatever. It's just simple. They play better. They're 30-5 at home this year.
And as humid as it is, the ball will fly this weekend.
Should.
So
yeah. Put it in play too, because Little Rock's one of the worst fielding teams in the country.
I did not know that.
969 fielding percentage is like about 246 in the country, I think, if my research serves. So if you put it in play, they're bound to make mistakes.
There you go. And you might see Jay do it with the small ball opportunities with the bottom of the lineup. So just finishing off with the regional predictions, do you have any score predictions for tonight?
Score predictions in baseball are tough.
Yeah, it is.
I don't know. I think
or
LSU
just a
wins.
in general prediction for tonight.
Yeah, I think LSU wins. I think Rhode Island can pull this upset. I'm not gonna lie.
That would be awesome.
I really do.
Yeah.
I think nobody else is gonna like.
But like you said, Rhode Island's a tough team to play no matter what, just because they can hit the hell out of the ball.
They can't pitch it very well, but they can hit. And
they don't have a reliever.
If you live and die by your bat, they do have a good closer too. If you live and die by your bats, it could be good or bad. I think this might be one of the good games for them. So, and they haven't appeared in the tournament since 16. Like, here's something. There's 2 teams that have played in 11 straight NCAA tournaments. Or there's 5, I'm sorry. 2 at this region.
And DBU.
LSU and DBU. And I feel like all the pressure's on DBU.
On DBU to keep
There's
it up.
none on Rhode Island.
No.
I think Rhode Island can win this game.
And I actually went and saw who Rhode Island lost to in their regional in 16. They're a good ball club, and Serrato was still the coach there. They lost in the Columbia Regional in 16. They actually beat South Carolina in Game 1 as a 4 seed, and then they went and lost 2 straight, one to UNC Wilmington, I want to say, and then they lost a really close one to South Carolina in that Game 3. They have capability. I think they like, as far as culture goes, they're a good ball club when they do get in the tournament.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely interesting to note that don't count them out yet.
And Levesque's a lefty. Ware pitched, I mean, it's a small sample size. He pitched well against that DBU lineup. I think Rhode Island's going to pull this one. I think LSU then beats them because they're depleted.
Yeah.
I think DBU gets by Little Rock, and then it's LSU over DBU on Sunday.
Awesome.
Love that.
That's
I
my
love that prediction.
And Micah Bucknam against LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hope you're right,
Put
actually.
a bow on that.
No disrespect to Micah, but it'd be
No, it'd just be cool to see.
Yeah.
As long as it's not, like I said, like a Dutton situation where you come in
Right.
and it's like, oh my, something happened.
Yeah.
Like you're pitching. I've never seen you act like this, Sammy Dutton. Come on back. Like, I'll take that, Sammy Dutton. Any day
Well,
of the
it was
week.
always a joke with Samuel Dutton. It was like, oh, Jay's going to get him after 3 pitches. Samuel Dutton treatment.
Yeah.
So ever since then, when
They made him
when
their
you
Friday
saw
night
like
guy.
Primo going for a batter, it's like, he got the Sammy D treatment.
Yeah. And
now I can't even say that. So
No, but that would be cool to see like Bucknam get to play against his former team, obviously. I do think LSU, regardless of start time, I don't know how much he's going to handle this with like kid gloves in that regard, because you've seen him with, I mean, we have one real thing to go back to of him hosting a regional, and it's the 2023, whatever. He got burned once, and it's not because he didn't try to wait, but unless it's clear skies, like I still think you're going to see either Ianson, who I believe he's going to throw because of what you saw against DBU. And a lefty, like I think that plays, like you can start to put that puzzle together
matchup-based.
relatively quickly of what makes sense, like swing and miss stuff that Anderson has left-handed, and then you have the ability. He can say what I think is true. He gave himself this option, and he didn't do that by accident. There's the way that it lined up of.
he's quite genius for this.
Yes,
Yeah.
like I think you have to give it. It's like you could say like there's little tidbits, like it's easy out. Had to get him to wanted him to throw. He had to get in that ball game. I think that's true. You don't want him to wait 2 weeks before he throws again. But he also lined it up in a way that he's never come out the pen before. Okay, but I want him to get work. Why did you want him to get work? Well, I'm looking ahead to see maybe he doesn't know who he's going to
Matchup
face.
based. Yeah.
He had an idea of 4 or 5 teams that it could be.
Like he wasn't watching TV going. He wasn't shocked.
Yeah.
Like he had an idea of who they were.
You could
going.
literally see his face.
And
right.
honestly, he
Yeah,
kind of was
video.
like,
Yeah, and then,
yeah,
I'm right.
like,
Yeah.
And so I think that's why he did this, is to kind of put it together to give himself the option. And then when it shook out the way that it did, it's like, okay, I'm probably going to do this. You have Einstein who's thrown far less pitches than he did than Kate Anderson did. And then you give Kate Anderson the ability to go throw his swing and miss stuff against DBU. I think it just lines up that way. And I said this earlier. It's pitching off in a way, but it's really not, just because you're gifted with 2 starters. Like you're 2 aces. Like that's just the reality.
Kind
has
of
it.
like last
Yeah.
year. Because
Yeah, that's what I'm
Gage
saying,
and
you
Luke
pick
were
and
both
choose.
great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You can
you
pick
lost
one.
a close game to North
What,
Carolina.
right.
Yeah.
And then you brought Gage jump back in
Right.
in that series. And Jay's talked about, he's like, I don't regret that at all.
No.
Like, you got all you could out of Helmers.
and that game was
And he's
just
like,
crazy.
he goes, at that point in the year, Gage Jump was our best pitcher. I'm putting my best
Yeah,
player in
no
that
doubt.
situation 10 out of 10 times.
Let me say this, too. I asked Coach Johnson, kind of thinking ahead to the Supers. Obviously, I don't want to get ahead of yourself, but you got to think about setting yourself up for the Supers, right? From
Clearly
a pitching
doesn't.
standpoint. I asked him, are you thinking about that at all as you go through this? He said, nope. We're doing what we need to do for the 72, 96 hours, whatever it is required here. And he also said, there's always a way. In terms of if you're not set up for the Super Regional, you'll find a way to set yourself up. So it seems like he's all in on this. He doesn't really care about that right now, as he should. But if you're trying to play the game in your head, map things out, he's not really caring about the Supers at all. So if you're thinking he's going to throw
Save
Cade to keep him on
somebody,
schedule for
yeah.
that or whatever, I don't think he's thinking
No,
about
if
that.
you put yourself in a situation where it's, if I do this, it burns me for a super. I don't
He's not
think when
thinking
you get
about
into the throes of it and you're down in a game that maybe makes you play a Monday game, I think you try to win every opportunity you can. If there's an opportunity to take one and you have to get out of the regional.
That's why today's so big, because no matter who you throw, you don't want them to throw, that much if they don't need to.
No,
That's
I
basically
disagree.
what I'm saying.
They're going to throw as much as you can.
Do you really think so?
'Cause you wanna save
well, if you
guys
get
if you need 'em.
the lead, an incredible lead, I'm talking about, to where you don't have to pitch your ace for that long, and you can throw like we said, a guy we haven't
they've
seen,
done
like a
this
binge
before.
to finish it off.
Didn't Skeens throw
He threw a complete game.
No, he
right
did. Yeah,
against
he
Tulane?
did.
So I'm thinking
That
you
was
save
his-
him. This guy's going to get a whole week to rest, whoever it is. 'Cause
Yeah,
the Super
You
will
know,
be on
and
a Friday.
and that's the
right?
thing. Like, you try to
I
win
could see
now,
it that
you
way,
don't
but I could
save-
also see it.
But what if, like, Ianson's at 60 pitches in the fifth?
Or I'm like 70. Let's say 70. He gets through 6 innings. LSU's up by 9 runs.
I
at
still
that
think
point
you
you
don't
burned.
play around because
don't
you
think so?
want to keep
Go
all
win.
those guys.
Because if you don't have you don't set yourself up for a contingency plan like, oh, if I take him out now, maybe he can throw
Yeah,
on
I
Monday.
I guess you're right. You don't
You've
want to
already
play around.
You don't do
Yeah.
that with starters. If you can go.
Yeah.
And then like you have to use once
Yeah.
you play that card, you're not getting it back until next week.
Plus, they
like there's
both-
times they could come back, but that you don't think about that on Friday.
No, definitely not.
You ask him if you're good. If you get to Monday,
I'm
it's
just
like
thinking
got,
of guys that might
Yeah.
have not seen
Well, two things. with
action
that.
much, but
They've both thrown CGs this year. Second of all, if they pitch the way they're supposed to pitch, they shouldn't have any trouble getting through this game sub 130 pitches.
yeah.
At-
yeah,
at the
I
max.
completely agree.
Yeah,
with
like
that.
115 would
Yeah.
be a number, and you're like, I'm fine with that. If you
Yeah.
saw how many did Kate Anderson throw in his complete game? What, like
120.
125?
123, I think.
Yeah.
On the dot.
And then on top of that, like you're up 9 runs in the 6th. I'm not going to name any names because I don't want to throw any shade at anybody. I don't think it's one of those things where you put guys in to get them innings because things can get way out of hand and quick. Like LSU put
Yeah,
up
I mean-
12 straight runs against Kennesaw in that
Yeah,
game.
and not to
Like-
mention, look at what happened with Alabama earlier this season, that Saturday game.
Yeah.
That's why. Yeah, that's why you don't do it. You
I don't. Yeah, you keep your
you
guy
guys
in.
may-
and
You know
you
how
ride him.
like how baseball works, the momentum that they could get at any point.
Yeah.
Like where it comes, you bring like say you bring in X player that
Right,
hasn't
right,
you know
right,
has
right.
got a lot of work, put 2 on, and then it's one swing of the bat, it's 8-3,
Right.
and then you're in a
I guess
spot where
that's
you have to
some-
pull
Maybe in the
somebody.
eighth
Something
and
to
the
fin-
ninth,
yeah, I was
but-
about to say maybe that's something to figure out in the 8th or 9th, but
I wouldn't say in the 6th.
No.
Ideally,
Yeah.
you throw Ianson, you throw Anderson, they throw the whole game. 'cause
whole
you got
game.
everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going complete game, or as long as they can, you get to the 7th, and then don't be surprised if you see somebody like
That'd be incredible.
another. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you use the Cowan for, like you said, like it'd be 30 pitches.
Yeah.
you
And
can
then he
see
goes
him
back
come-
to him.
he
You
come
would
back.
keep Evans, as y'all talked
Yeah.
about, because he has the starter stuff. There's people have been saying this. Are there run rules in
No.
playoffs?
Nope.
Yeah, I was going to say these guys have been saying.
Go 7.
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't work like
Is
that.
Supers
Yeah.
different? I feel like Supers maybe.
No.
I don't
No.
think so.
Play
'cause
9.
I think they blasted Kentucky one of those games.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They take away the run rule, but I mean it's fucking real baseball.
I was watching the YouTube video. I'm like, all right, it's
And you gotta
12 to nothing,
strategically-
and there's still 4 minutes on this video. What exactly did we show for the last
More
4
runs.
minutes?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because LSU got completely blown out in that second game of the World Series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jay just threw the kitchen sink, well, not the kitchen sink, he just threw whoever.
Yeah.
It
And
was
that
like-
Sammy Dutton got to pitch
Yeah,
in that game.
exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, that's when
Blake
you can
Money.
do that. Let's throw this guy out there and whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was 18-4.
Yeah.
It was
It's
over.
all
And
right.
LSU turned around and served it right back.
So you've got LSU winning tonight, Rhode Island winning tonight.
Love that.
And LSU beating Rhode Island and then playing DBU on Sunday.
And I
like
filled
that.
out my D1 baseball bracket.
Yeah, who's your Omaha 8? Do you know off the top of your head or
Let
not
me
really?
let me think if I can name. I got Vandy. I got North Carolina. I got Auburn. Who else is on that side? I think I picked TCU.
Okay.
To go.
A little upset.
And then I picked Vandy to win that.
That
Or no, I
right-
picked Auburn to win that.
Wow.
bracket. Yep.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just and then on the other side, I went LSU. I went.
What do you have them playing in the Super? I'll
the
just let you.
Supers?
Yeah, so to get you out
Is
of
it
this
Arkansas?
mental
I took-
recall.
took
I took
Arkansas.
Clemson.
Clemson, LSU, and then LSU.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's how it's. Who's in Clemson's side? Who else? Who's in their region?
Clemson's in
Virginia,
West Virginia
Kentucky.
and a really good
Kentucky.
USC upstate team they have to play tonight.
Yeah, we'll like as much as we're talking about this regional game, like everybody kind of has the same feeling about it. Like you'll learn a lot.
Everyone's in the same exact spot
Yeah,
as
every one
LSU,
seed.
if not worse, because they have so many more
This is
great
the
4
lowest-
seeds.
This
Yes,
is the
this
lowest
is-
RPI.
Exactly.
Yeah,
like
LSU
Murray State and Ole Miss is going to be a great game.
They'll be upset.
A lot of those 4 seeds are Columbia and Southern Miss. That game like is going to be phenomenal.
That's
No one's
when
safe.
That's when
Like,
you
you're
look
not just
around
safe,
and you,
yeah.
like everybody is like LSU has the easiest regional, and then we can even dive in and be like, well, you look at
Not really. Rhode Island.
yeah, well, you look at like Little Rock and how their season
Pitch.
played out, where they had
It's
like
deceiving.
6 starters
it's not
out.
collusion.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you'd still try to but it's funny that you look at it, LSU on paper easiest regional.
Yep.
But then because you look around and there's some other matchups where you're like, once a top seed is going to lose in the
Right.
today,
Oh yeah.
it'll happen.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of lower seeds that make it out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like really most of, if not all, the SEC teams could win all of their regionals.
Mm-hmm.
You
You could
even
have an
as the 2 or
SEC
the
team
3s.
in it. Yeah, that's not hosting.
Yeah.
That could
Yeah.
come up. I wouldn't want to see another
I mean,
SEC team in a
realistically,
regional.
I think realistically there is a chance where you get 6 SEC teams in Omaha. I mean, that is just insane.
I think I had probably 6.
6.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if I see a world where all those SEC teams make it, but I definitely see a world where like OU beats
But it would
UNC
be like
and makes it to Omaha somehow.
It'd be like March Madness. Whenever
Yeah.
you looked up, like, oh, the SEC got all these bids, and you're like, well, this is why.
Yeah,
This
they
is
played
the
each
Elite
other,
Eight.
yeah.
It was four
Yeah, exactly.
teams.
Yeah.
But Jay said it all along. Like every year when they played an SEC team, he would go Omaha quality team.
Yeah.
And he'd look up, you're like, oh, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like he said it about everybody. He said it like 4 times.
The LSU Ole Miss matchup could have been an Omaha precursor. You know.
The way that they're pitching it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, so did the A&M game. Felt like
Yeah, but they're not
like an
gonna-
Omaha
And
game.
they don't even get to.
They're not gonna.
they
The
don't
only
get
way
to
they make it is
participate.
if they.
No, I was just saying that game felt like an Omaha game.
It did. It
Well,
did.
because the stakes for
Yeah.
A&M, and it felt like
Exactly.
LSU,
They
like,
had everything to lose. LSU had nothing to lose, but you were still trying to figure some things
Yeah,
out.
LSU manifested like I think well, this might be for a seed, and so you play that way. But
Right.
once you play a desperate team, it's like this is kind of fun. You kind of lock in a little bit differently.
Yeah. No, it's
like
gonna
tonight.
be fun though. Who's at the top of the bracket? I think I picked Georgia.
Georgia is
And
they're
I
the
picked
7.
Texas,
Yeah,
and I
they're
think
the
I
7.
picked Georgia. I think I
Yeah.
picked both of them.
And UNC is in that region as well.
I think they're on the other side of the bracket.
I think UNC
So I
would
picked
be
them to go.
they'd be paired with
They're on the left side.
They're on the
Texas
left
on the
side?
right side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right. Sorry.
Texas had some issues with its field. Looks like they fixed it up though.
Yeah,
quickly.
I think we
So,
showed that
good for
earlier
them.
this week, right?
Yeah, that was
The
wild.
batter's eye.
Yeah.
They had the welders, Texas welders out there.
LSU was
weekend.
working on some things yesterday. The scoreboard and
Saw the scoreboard
Some
was
other
broke.
stuff.
Huh?
You gotta put the makeup on the pig, dude. You
Yeah.
gotta make sure she's
they're,
pretty.
they're working hard over there.
Sure.
So it should be ready to go, and I'm gonna head over there pretty soon. And
Yep.
Yeah. And then
We'll
get after it.
We'll
Well,
be
we
at,
appreciate
we'll
you.
be at the
Miss.
box for as
Yeah.
long as we need to be.
Yeah,
Yep.
But that's all.
Lloyd,
No
pace
mic'd up
yourself
today.
All right,
No,
it
no
might be
chance.
it might be a late game.
This
you
is
know?
what I was born for. This, unfortunately, it's in my blood.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate you, John. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having
thanks
me.
for
guys.
Thanks for spending some time with us. Are we going to do an athletic
We
connection?
have to keep tradition,
Yep.
or else.
John, do you want to stay and help us with this athletic
If
connection?
you have to
real
go, you
quick?
can.
It's only going to take 2 minutes. I
Yeah,
reckon.
that's-
So you're going to need help pronouncing Jim Boeheim's name.
That's right.
You're probably right.
The
a
bedwetter.
little shade thrown at me today.
Just slight shade.
Just a little bit.
Very
Didn't-
slight.
didn't-
It's just
That was a
just
hard
touching
one.
over
That was actually
home plate.
that was a hard one.
It was a hard one. I was getting flamed a little bit on Twitter because I mentioned the fact that Wells had a lower ERA than Skeens.
Skeens,
23.
everybody
These
was
guys
getting
like,
mad.
okay, but what happened the next 2 years? I'm like, guys, it is just
It's
a
okay.
fact.
It's
that
just
he had
something
a
to
lower
note. Yeah, it's definitely
ERA than Skeens.
it's
I'm
something.
Not saying he's better.
So, some of your LSU
All right, here
fans
we
and
go.
Padres are
Oh,
a little,
dude.
insane. You know,
There's
like,
just
they
like
take it
certain,
personal.
certain
if you say
things that
anything
you just
good
can't talk
anybody.
about. You know, there's certain
Jackson
people,
Wells. Nobody knew who Jackson Wells was before this week. Guaranteed.
No,
Right.
No.
But there's that little tidbit. It's not your fault. It's a stat. Like I'm just telling the truth. It's just the truth.
It's just like.
But I'm not saying that Jackson Wells is better than Paul Skeens.
No, and I
That's
even
what
talked.
I'm saying.
I
Like,
talked to Jackson. I'm like, that's pretty cool, huh? He's like, yeah, obviously Paul's better though. Like he's not one of those guys. That's
I'm
like,
not gonna go 1-1.
Yeah, he's
and
not like
dominate
ego.
Major League
He
Baseball.
doesn't have a
Not
big
yet. I
ego.
could go play Major League Baseball, but that's just one of those stats
Yeah,
that
it's just-
if like it's a great trivia question.
Isn't
like
it, like,
2023,
it's just
like
crazy to
Paul Skeens,
me.
like actually Jackson Wells.
Who do you think of the low? That is just such a good bar trivia question. Complication level 10 out of 10. Who
Yeah.
had the lowest ERA in college baseball in 23? Everybody would say Skeens. Nobody would think of
That
this guy
would
that pitched
would
at
be
Little Rock.
it's such an eliminator and like a bar. Like,
Dude, that's
turn the- like, run the card in. I would
99%
get it
ball
wrong.
knowledge.
Yeah.
Nobody would know that except Arkansas Little Rock fans.
Yeah, and Jackson Wells
And Jackson Wells,
and Chris
who
Kerr.
is an Arkansas Little Rock fan.
Yeah. Okay, let's
Here
lock
we
in,
go.
boys.
Here we go, guys.
Dominic Hasek,
Love that.
that's a goalie. Luongo, another hockey player.
So we're gonna go all hockey. Roy,
Roy,
Patrick
Raw,
Waugh,
Yeah.
Patrick
Raw.
Waugh,
Raw.
All right, we need one
Pan,
Pan.
more. I think it's probably
Chase.
Chase.
That's blah. It's another one of these.
All right, so we know it's those three though, but you have eject, toss. I don't know. If
Boot,
boots,
These are type of football plays. You got toss,
toss,
counter.
boot,
These
counter.
are types of run plays. Dive,
reverse.
toss,
Is reverse one?
counter. Not boot.
not boot. Not I had
Not-
that
not
already
boot.
picked. Where's the draw?
Draw. These
yeah,
are run plays. Dive.
Yeah,
Dive
not,
and draw, not reverse.
yeah, not reverse. I would go with those.
Oh,
Oh, dude.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Look at you, John.
Is
I
what
think
we
it's
wanna
draw.
do?
I think those three. Yeah.
Because reverse goes to a receiver.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think-
exactly. Okay. And we have to. I mean, toss dive. Shout out Les Miles.
Exactly.
Oh, I didn't feel as confident about that as you.
I kinda thought
but
that
I,
was-
it felt good.
Did they tell you if it's one away or not on this?
No.
Or? Wow. Okay.
I do like. See, I think eject.
Toss, boot.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yep.
chase. Like you get all the ways to get thrown out.
Okay, there you go.
Yep,
Thrown out of a game.
Nice. You would know that.
Yeah.
I'm
Rally,
just kidding.
rally calls.
Said some things.
Where I noticed it didn't say Mikey wants to leave top of the ninth. That wasn't in there.
Oh God, I can't believe him.
I'm just kidding.
But no, that was unbelievable. The things that he's like, I don't know. I'm not staying for extras. Like, I'm staying. I'll walk home.
It's like, I guess I'll
I was
be
like,
Ubering back.
Or you
I was
could
like,
wait and I could drive you home.
I was about to say, like, could you imagine yourself 15 years ago saying that? If you were out there in the ninth inning, you're playing super, like, I don't want to play extras. I would rather go home. It's like, Mikey, if anybody should want to be here, it's you. Don't let people know that. I will, because it was embarrassing for yourself. God damn it.
Worked out in the end.
Yeah, it did. He didn't have to stay in extra innings.
Right.
Counter, draw,
So he was
reverse.
Maybe he's the script holder.
Pan? Is it Pan? No. No.
Counter, draw.
Dive.
Dive.
We didn't do that. We did. What did we do before? Toss or something.
Football
Yeah.
running
Yep.
plays.
So we were on the
Reverse?
right track. Toss is a run play.
Yeah, that's the
I'm thinking of
trick part.
reverse. Yeah, that's what. It's like, what?
All right.
So
we
we have-
we know the goalies.
we have this
We know the goalies.
So we're missing what? Oh, okay.
Parent is like, what?
These are all like.
Yeah, I mean that would make sense.
That, yeah.
We
We
have
can
a
try that.
guess.
Might as well.
This?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was so clutch
Yep.
of you. That was
I've never
so
heard of-
clutch.
Wow.
I've never heard of
Jonathan, that was
Jonathan.
so freaking clutch.
What a move.
That's what I grew up on. That's my expertise.
What
not,
a
not
move.
much else.
Stick and
Yeah.
puck.
Yep.
That's
Stick and
right.
puck Eads.
All right, boys.
Yeah. Thank
Hell
y'all.
yeah. That's
Thank
one
y'all.
dub for the day.
One dub for the day.
Start off a
Good
winner, end a
start.
winner.
CG.
You guys enjoy
CG.
the postseason baseball today. It's gonna be fun.
Rhode
tonight.
Island.
Rhode Island.
Watch
Watch
out.
out.
You heard it
John
here
Eads.
first.
But thanks for tuning in to Tingle and Co. While Noah was absent, I appreciate everyone that stuck around and watched. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend.
Let's go catch DBU media availability.
Yeah, good luck.